Hello, world. On this week's episode of the Koncrete Podcast, we're back with everyone's favorite con man, Matthew B. Cox. This podcast tells the story of a kid in his mid-20s named Blayne Davis, who managed to steal tens of millions of dollars utilizing foreign exchange market trading, otherwise known as Forex. Blaine was so slick that once the market crashed in 2008 and the federal indictments started closing in, he was not only able to siphon millions of dollars offshore, but he was able to shift all of the blame of his Ponzi schemes onto one of his biggest victim investors by the name of Donovan Davis. Blaine's multiple Ponzi schemes were ultimately rolled into the largest FOREX Ponzi scheme in history. Blayne is scheduled to be released in April of 2021. Yet his victim investor Donovan, the one he was able to shift all the blame onto, and the only innocent man in the story, still sits in prison with a decade left to serve. This might be one of the best stories Matt's ever told on the show. We really enjoyed it, and I hope you do too. Enjoy the show. What's up? Double Ventes.
They fuck the coffee up.
Matt's rocking the double Vente. What's in that? What are in those cups?
What's it missing?
It's the sugar is probably at the bottom. It's all right. Drink a little bit and I'll stir it up.
How much sugar again? How much sugar you put in the coffee again?
8 raw sugars. So
8 raw sugars per cup.
It's a venti vanilla latte with 8 raw sugars, and I got 2 of them. So this one I drank on the way here.
Okay.
Hold on.
Make sure that thing's empty.
With straight sugar at the bottom.
Octane, baby.
Oh yeah,
And now
that's the
this.
good part.
And this one, so that's good. It'll be all right. Okay, so all right.
Back by popular demand, ex-con man and true crime author Matthew B. Cox. What's up, Matt? Thanks for coming back.
All right, I'm excited.
What are we going to talk about today?
Today is about a story I wrote about a guy named Donovan Davis, which is locked up in Coleman. And it's, honestly, it's really more about Blayne Davis, which is a con man that that has run, I guess, 3 Ponzi schemes and is currently in prison right now, but being released in a few years, unlike Donovan, who's serving 17 years for being duped into participating in a business that ended up being a Ponzi scheme, that he was unaware it was a Ponzi scheme. So that's really
Okay. Exciting.
yeah.
How come all these con men... What's up? Want me to look at this?
Yes.
Do you want me to hold this? And make sure
This is the same thing that happened last time.
What happened last time, Matt?
what happened last time is you said, hey, make sure you get some talking point. Prepare something. Like, I'm unprepared.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did. You sent me I'll give you the text. You were like, send up some talking points. And then I prepared talking points. I spent all day preparing talking points. And then you guys were like,
Where's my
let's
talking
just
points?
Shoot the shit, bro. What's up? This is a podcast, Matt.
It's a podcast, bro. We just talk. Apparently,
The
everybody
worst.
hates when I fucking talk or when he fucking talks. They just want to hear you.
I mean,
They love you.
How were the comments in that last one?
they were vicious. I read the first.
There's some venom-filled people on there. They were
read, like-
spitting some hate.
What are they saying?
Are you didn't read them?
Yeah, yeah. he
Danny
did.
sends me a couple here and there.
Oh,
I just
couple. You read them, you lying fuck.
There's probably 1,000 now. I got to the point where I read like 10 and I was like, because this is different. This is vastly different than last time. And I kept reading, and when I got to like 50 or 60, I was like, fuck, I don't even think I want to call. I was going to call. I was like, when I first fucking 10, I thought maybe I should call Danny and say, have you seen these? But by 50 or 60, I was like, fuck, this is bad, bro. 95% of them are those 2 fucking morons. Quit fucking interrupting Matt Cox, you piece of shit. I was like, God damn, these are vicious. Keep in mind, I'm used to guys being rough around the edges, but it is pure venom.
Are they that vicious in prison?
No, it's more like you stop saying thank you and please. You you're just like, it's like, hey man, let me get some sugar. Yeah, all right, man, I got. All right,
you can't even be that vicious in prison because you'll get your ass.
Yeah,
kicked,
you couldn't. The stuff these guys are saying.
Yeah, there's no limits on the internet.
Fucking dumb. What kind of motherfucker doesn't know what Sodom and Gomorrah is?
Oh yeah,
I know what the fuck Sodom.
You fucking millennials, these fucking millennials. I'm like, God damn. I remember when I said, listen, man, I wasn't gonna say something. That's the first text I said.
Who doesn't know what Sodom and Gomorrah is? Come the fuck
this
on.
Is bad. I was like, have you read these? And you were like, yeah, bro, they're pretty bad. Then you got to the point after you read enough of them, you were like, hey, did you read this one? This one's pretty good. Listen to this one. I'm like, yeah, if you get over the fact that they're being vicious, it does become comical if you can remove yourself from the situation.
Yeah.
But even when I was like, look, here's one. Look, Matt, bro, you're fucking awesome. You did great, except for those two fucking morons, those motherfuckers. I was like, God damn.
Some guy called me a 200-pound hat rack.
Oh yeah, by the way, if we can get that guy,
that was the best one I ever read.
If we can find the guy who left the comment, what was his name?
I don't remember.
We have the screenshot of it, but if the guy,
we'll send you a free sweater for that.
Leave a comment on this one. The guy who called him a 200-pound hat rack, and we're gonna send you a box full of free shit,
free merch,
free concrete merch.
Oh God! All right.
Man.
Anyway,
we want to keep those people around.
Yeah, we love that shit.
They're entertaining.
I hope they keep fucking going off because it's fucking great.
Yeah.
So how did you meet Donovan in prison, and how did he introduce his story to you?
Donovan is, I want to say Donovan's 6 foot tall. God, he's got to be at least probably 300 pounds. Big belly. He used to have a beard. Which he would get like, cut like really specific to, and he told me, well, I get it cut like he called it facial architecture. He said it makes it look like I still have a jawline.
He's into that shit.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, he's just a big teddy bear. You know what I'm saying? He's just a big guy. He says he's Jamaican, and he is Jamaican, but his ancestors are from India. So he's just a big Indian guy who's with a Jamaican accent, and really he can turn it on and off. And he's just a big teddy bear. He's the nicest guy, and I forget what happened. He was new to the unit, and he looked at me a couple times. We did the nod, and then somebody said, "Hey, he's here for fraud." And then I don't know. One day we were sitting there talking. And he goes, "Well, what kind of fraud are you here for?" And I said, "Bank fraud." And I go, "What are you here for?" He's like, "It was a Ponzi scheme." And I was like, "Oh." I said, "Well, what'd you get?" He's like, "Well, I didn't get anything." I go, well, what'd you do? He's, well, I'm innocent. I was like, yeah, bro.
Yeah, right.
Nice. I like it. You played it all the way to the fucking hill.
That's kind of a red flag that he actually may not be a con man if he said that he's innocent, right?
Oh yeah, he's absolutely not a con man. I mean, when you talk to him, you realize he's a dupe. He's the kind of guy, and I used to joke with him all the time because he believes pretty much anything you tell him. He's just very much a nice guy who worked hard. His family worked hard, and they have money. His family came over from Jamaica. They started working they started off as mechanics, and then eventually they started doing excavation and some land work. And before you know it, it starts taking off, and they end up owning a company. Like I said, they sell dirt. They go and they lease huge plots of land. They go in, they dig out these huge ponds, and they just sell the dirt. And that's all they do. I didn't even know that was a thing until he told me. And it's huge. So, matter of fact, I was gonna say, you ought to go talk to his father and see if his dad will put up some fucking and sponsor the fucking podcast. I was gonna mention that.
Why would his dad sponsor?
I don't know. He's got to advertise somewhere.
Who owns the dirt company?
His dad.
He wants to advertise his dirt company on here.
I don't know if he does or not.
It's
worth talking. Worth making a phone call.
Speaking of sponsors,
okay.
This episode of the Koncrete Podcast is brought to you by.
Get the fuck out of here.
Bud Light.
Are you serious?
Thanks to Matthew B. Cox, we now have enough viewers to get sponsors.
They sent us one 12-pack.
Like Bud Light. Buy a 12-pack.
No.
Icy cold. Brain octane.
I don't know if his PO is going to like that.
Who?
What?
Oh, no. I was talking about the Bud Light sponsorship.
Oh, she'll be fine.
She's care.
Fine. She came by my house today. I peed in the cup. She's happy.
Did she?
I'm sure it's going to turn out fine. She's good.
Are you allowed to drink?
She mentioned you,
Did she?
She goes, that guy? She said, like, his voice totally matches his what he looks like. And I started laughing. I started laughing.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
I don't know, but it made me laugh. This is the gap. So I ended up writing Donovan's story because I started talking to him, and he explained about his story. And basically, and what's great about Donovan, a lot like who else? Like Rossini or Deveroli, is that these guys are still fighting their case, so they have lockers full of stuff. So if I said, well, when did that happen? Oh, hold on. He'd go pull it out and bam, here, July 2nd, 2008.
Yeah.
Whatever. So he had all the documents, so it was perfect. So, yeah, so basically there's a guy named Blayne Davis, no relation to Donovan Davis. So Blayne was born in I want to say Germany. He was born overseas. His father was in the military. He's been in a bunch of different branches of the military. One of the things that Blayne used to tell people was that his father was in the CIA. His dad was in did security work and defense contract work, but I don't know if he necessarily was in the CIA. He might have been in the CIA. I think he did do work for the CIA at one point. So he's done work for all kinds of different branches of the government. So he was raised like a military brat, moving around all the time. And eventually when he was in his 20s, he wasn't making very much money. He wasn't going to school, had dropped out of school, and he started doing Forex trading, but he's not making a lot of money. And
what is Forex trading? Sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. Forex trading is when you trade, it's like you're betting against the rise and fall of different currencies. So it's currency trading. You're betting that the dollar will be worth more than the euro or whatever. I don't know the exact what the definition of Forex trading is.
Okay.
But I'm sure I just fucking said it wrong. Basically, you can buy like options. And you bet that it's going to go up or down, and then you get whatever the spread is, and they'll do it on like a fraction. So you can end up really leveraging what you've got. The problem is you could lose everything you've got. The real problem with the whole market is that if I'm winning, somebody else is losing. So it's kind of a back and forth. That's, what I'm saying? It's not like the stock market.
It's like betting sports.
Right. Yeah. Somebody's winning, somebody's losing. Exactly. So, but Blayne starts doing Forex trading. So he's representing some guys, he's using their money, he's investing their money, and but he's not making a lot of money. He's very charismatic, good-looking guy, and very flashy, but he's not making a lot of money. And so he ends up watching the movie The Boiler Room, and he gets inspired by the movie The Boiler Room. And basically, the reason I know I have all the documents, right? And what he actually this is what kills me, is that when he was actually interviewed, he actually tells the fucking IRS agent which investigated, he actually tells them he was inspired by the movie The Boiler Room.
Nice.
Who the fuck says that? That's like saying, it's like, oh yeah, I was inspired by Goodfellas. And The Boiler Room's a movie about it's just huge fraud.
Right.
So what he does is he goes out and Blayne convinces a bunch of his buddies and to invest money with him. So give me 10 grand, I'll put it in Forex, and I'll make you're going to make $11,000, $12,000, whatever it may be. So a couple guys gives $5 grand, 10 grand. It starts small, but very quickly these guys are making huge amount of money back. So they turn around and they say, okay, I'm going to go to my sister and talk to my sister. And now, next thing you know, this guy's putting in 20 grand. His sister's putting in 30 grand. This guy's putting in 10 grand. One guy put in, I want to say $120,000. Blayne ends up, the dollar amount varies, but basically the main number ends up being between like $500,000 to $1 million he takes from these guys. Friends and friends of friends. Mm-hmm. He ends up convincing one guy to help make spreadsheets to track how the money's growing. Well, the fact is the money's not growing at all. It's a Ponzi scheme. Guys are giving you money in, and then when you ask for your money back, I just give you your money back plus a little bit of Danny's money. Right. So you think I just made 20%. Danny still thinks his money's in the account. Danny's money's not in his account. I spent it on my new Mercedes.
Yeah.
And then then when Danny says I want my money back, I just take it from Bob. I give Danny's original amount back plus what Danny earned. So you're paying new investors with old investors' money.
You're just hoping that all the investors don't ask for their money back at once.
Absolutely, because
Right.
then you go under. Well, that's what happens with Blayne, is that eventually he's giving too much. The returns are too high. You know, he's not Bernie Madoff.
Yeah.
Who
He's
was
giving them too much money back.
Right. Bernie Madoff was giving you enough that you're doing better than everybody else, but not so much that it's not unreasonable.
Yeah.
And so he was able to go forever. Blayne's not that sharp. Blayne's giving guys huge returns. And so eventually he can't pay out the returns, and one or two people ask for their money back. And then he spends them and he spends them, and he, you know, oh, I'm in Europe right now, or oh, my phone, it doesn't work. I couldn't return your email. Oh, didn't you get the wire? Didn't you get the wire? Like, I've read all the excuses.
Yeah.
How old is he at this point, by the
Probably
way?
in his early 20s.
Early 20s.
Early
Young.
20s?
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah. So bro, and I mean, you know, anyway, he's
You got to be smart in your early 20s to at least even know about all this type of stuff, Forex trading and shit.
He's sharp. He's sharp, and obviously he's ruthless.
Yeah.
So people are pulling money out of he's convincing people to pull money out of their 401k. Get 30 grand out of your 401k. Give me 30 grand. I'm going to have you $45,000 within 6 months. You're never getting your 40. You're not getting your 30.
Right.
So this goes on, and eventually these guys kind of start grouping together because they do know a lot of one another. So eventually a group of, like, I think 7 or 8 of them get together. They track him down at his house. And
Oh yeah, this is the video.
the video.
You have a video of this.
I have a video on my website, Inside True Crime, which is on YouTube, and it's the video. One of the guys brings a video camera and videos them confronting him, and they're telling him he's going to sign this piece of paper. You're going to this. He's all like, well, how much time do I have to give the money back? And at one point he says, he's like, well, I don't feel comfortable with all you guys pressuring me. And they're like, we don't feel comfortable with you stealing from us. And he's like, all right. So he signs, and one of the guys at the very end of the video, they cut it off. One of the guys is like, look, if you don't have the money by like Monday or something, they're like, we're going to come back here. He goes, I'm going to come back here with some other guys that aren't like these guys. You're going to be sorry. And then they cut the video. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, it's on the website. So, okay. So, and basically I know about that whole scam because it was all in the FDLE report, which I have this whole FDLE report, but let me flip through here just so that I can keep up with where I'm at. He loses the money. So basically these guys they go to his house. He doesn't have the money. He says he's going to have the money. He doesn't have the money.
Right.
And eventually he just moves.
Okay.
Picks up his shit and he moves.
Naples, right?
Yeah, moves, exactly. So he leaves Orlando, moves to Naples. Where's that? That's Melbourne? No, Naples.
Naples is on this coast, on the Gulf Coast.
Okay.
It's probably like 2 hours south of St. Pete.
So when he's there, he meets a guy named Damien Broomfield. Damien is kind of a computer geek, and he's working IT for some company, and he meets Damien's girlfriend knows Blaine's wife or fiance or whatever.
Yeah.
And they end up at a party together, and they start talking. He sees that he's driving a nice new, Mercedes or whatever. And so they have a little chit chat, and they both kind of fancy themselves as being, savvy business guys. And so Blayne starts talking up Damien, tells him about how he's in Forex, making a bunch of money, doing really well. They hit it off, and they decide to go ahead and start, or Damien decides to give him some money to invest. So he gives him like 50 grand to invest. Is it 50? Yeah, it's 50 grand to invest. So he gives him like 50 grand, and Blayne basically blows that money. And so when Damien comes back for the money, he says, he convinces him, listen, let's open up a business together. We'll open up a Forex trading company. We'll trade Forex. It's like a hedge fund or something where you guys will invest and we'll invest their money. So I don't quite know if Damien at that point knew his money was gone or if he just kind of joined in, but he very quickly realized his money was gone because Damien immediately turns around and starts raising money. Well, the guy that Damien knows that has money is a guy named Donovan Davis. So he goes to Donovan and he says, hey, Donovan. Donovan's driving a Porsche. He's got a Lamborghini. He's got, he's got a Bentley.
And explain again how he has money, what his business does.
He has money. His parents came here. They started a company eventually, and they buy and sell dirt.
Yeah.
Okay, so not buy and sell.
They buy land.
They buy land. They dig it up. They sell dirt. I don't think they're buying dirt. So they're selling dirt. So
technically they are.
I guess.
Basically, what they do is, I think all of Brevard County is like 2 or 3 feet under sea level. So to build on it, you can't build on anything that's not sea level. So they'll sell you the dirt to build up the land, to build your house or build your subdivision.
Just fill dirt.
Right, fill dirt.
That's smart. You own the real estate and you just mine it for fucking revenue.
They don't even
crazy.
They don't even own the real estate.
Just start digging in the backyard.
What?
So you have 40 acres. They come in, they say, we're going to lease it for the next 2 years, and we're going to dig out X amount of dirt out of your land. And when you're done, you're going to have a bunch of huge ponds, and you can turn around, you can sell it to and create a subdivision. Now you basically have lakefront property.
Wow.
And they go, okay, cool. So they go and they dig a bit, dig here, dig here, dig here. And when you leave, you're happy. Now it's a bunch of ponds. So I got this lakefront property. I can have a developer come in, put in the roads, and I can sell it off like that. Mm-hmm. They're happy because they've been able to sell that fill dirt.
Yeah.
So everybody's happy. So that's what they do. And Donovan, when he graduates high school, he's always been working on that. I got pictures of him on my website, InsideTrueCrime.com. So pictures of him and his brother working on excavators, working on tractors. I mean, little tiny kids. So they have what's that show? The Gold Rush show where they have the big the dredges.
Yeah.
They've got a dredge.
Damn.
I mean, they're not fucking around.
Yeah.
So he's been doing this his whole life. So he comes into the business. He starts working the business, and he said very quickly he ends up going into the office, and the business ends up just booming. Like he really takes it from being this business that's doing well to really doing well. I forget the number, how much it grew after he got in and really started.
They were doing like in the millions per month, you said.
Right. It was a huge amount of money. So he's making a ton of money. Like I said, Lamborghinis. You see his fucking house, man. It's a mansion.
All from selling dirt. That's nuts.
So he's doing great. Damien knows him. The families know each other. Damien comes in and says, "Look, man, I'm starting this FOREX company. We're doing management. We're doing FOREX trading, and we're taking. You should invest. I'm telling you, easiest money you ever made. I can make you a bunch of money. Go to the website, check it out." So Donovan does. Eventually, Donovan's dad's like, "Look," he keeps hounding Donovan. He's like, "Look, man, he's trying to start a business. Give him some money." So Donovan goes, "All right, fine." He gives him like $50,000. Well, like a month later, Donovan's made like $3,000 or $4,000 off of 50 in a month. He's like, "Fuck." He gives him another 50. And he goes online and he checks he checks it out and he's like, "Yeah, look, I made the money." That money's gone, bro. Mm-hmm. That money went straight to Damien and to Blayne. Mm-hmm. It was like a few $1,000s was actually put into any trades. So he gives him another $50,000. Gone. Gives him $100,000. Then he invites Damien to go talk to his family. Donovan comes in and says, man, I'm making a bunch of money. I'm getting like 7%, 8% a month. That's like 70% a year. It's like 80 something, 84% a year. I'm gonna double my money. Yeah. This is amazing. Yeah, he goes, yeah, and of course Damien said, well, I don't know much about it, but Blayne is a master trader. He knows everything about it. Blaine's a hit or miss guy. I mean, it's difficult to make money in FOREX. So anyway, next thing you know, his aunt and uncle put in money. His they put somebody who is it put one? Oh, his best friend puts in like $50,000. They put in another. Somebody else puts in like 100. Somebody else puts in 50. Somebody else. Next thing you know, he's raised like $500,000 from his own family. So, and this is Donovan's. Yeah, it's great. Damien, yeah, I'm a friend of the family. So it's I think it's called an infinity scam, where you go to your friends and family and they become your first victims. So
it's fucked up.
So they make a bunch of money. Well, then Donovan gets invited to several of these these like, I don't know, they're like meetings where the people come in and you try and get investors, and they sell software, trading software, and they talk about different platforms, and companies come in.
Like a trade show.
Like a trade show. But they also kind of teach classes on it. Well, Blayne's there, and Blayne's teaching the classes. So when Donovan gets there, he's like, fuck, this is the guy? This is your partner? Yeah, man, he's a master trader. Well, Donovan speaks with several guys from like PFG was the biggest FOREX trading company that was out there, right? They were like $1 billion or something outrageous. So Donovan's there talking with these guys, and these guys are like, oh, this guy's amazing. This guy Blayne's phenomenal. Everybody could say nothing but amazing things about Blayne, how wonderful he was. So Donovan's like, wow. Well, they keep raising money. Eventually, they come to him. Eventually, they come to Donovan, and they say, listen, at this point, Donovan's put in, I think, $2 million. Him and his family put in like $2 million. So they're doing pretty good. So Damian and Blayne are doing pretty good. So they come to Donovan. They go, listen, man, you've helped us out so much. We're going to give you a third of the company for $600,000. So you give us another $600,000. We're going to give you a third of the company. And so I just remember when he told me that, the first time he told me that, he was telling me the story. He goes, so they were going to give me a third of the company. I go, why? He goes, what do you mean? I go, why would they do that?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, because I'd helped them out. I said, right, you gave them $2 million. They're not making the whole $2 million. They're making a small percentage on the trades.
Yeah.
Why would they give you a third of the companies? Well, I was going to give them $600,000. I said, yeah, but they're doing well, and they're just going to continue to do well. And you're already raising the money for nothing,
for free.
You're already helping them,
Yeah.
introducing them, and all of these people are making money. So this thing's going to spread a Ponzi scheme doesn't need a lot of advertisement. It spreads pretty quickly because
Yeah.
it's so phenomenal.
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
Right. So why do they need you? I didn't know. I really knew nothing about his story at this point. But instinctually, I knew something's wrong.
Yeah.
You don't hand something over for $600,000 that to me is going to be worth
Way
hundreds
more
of
than
millions.
that. Yeah.
Right. And he goes, well, I don't know. I mean, I gave him the $600,000, and so yeah. And I was like, and he goes, yeah. I mean, he goes, it was a scam. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, it was a scam. They came to him. They said, give us $600,000, and all you've got to do is raise money. So one, I get you for $600,000 more,
And you bring in more
and
money.
I bring you in and give you an incentive to raise money for me. And so that's what he does. He has his lawyer look through the paperwork. His lawyer does due diligence, checks out the whole model, checks out everything, checks out both Damian and Blayne, and says, these guys are amazing. This guy Blayne is phenomenal. This is a great business opportunity. By the way, Blayne had been arrested several times.
The lawyer still said he
motherfucker
was...
couldn't have. He must not.
How do
have
they
even-
come up with all that paperwork and stuff?
Well, how
They're
could he
making
not-
it and stuff, or
Who?
the Damian and Blayne, all this paperwork for.
Yeah, it's not hard to come up with a bank statement. You just got to come up with a bank statement. Damian can do it.
That's it.
Yeah, he's an IT guy.
Yeah, that's how he made up the fake website, right? With
Yeah,
all
he's
the
got,
showing
he's got
the
the
numbers.
website. He's got everything. There, listen, I can come up with a dummy website
Yeah.
that'll fool you. So, and this guy's got a degree, so he knows what he's doing. He totally fine arts degree.
I was just gonna say that.
So you haven't looked at that once. Okay, what ends up happening is Donovan puts in the money. He starts raising money and starts raising a lot of money. They get a big office. They've got a bunch of these. They got an office like in Naples, one in Melbourne. They're kicking ass. They're raising money. Eventually, this guy by the name of Chris Romandetti comes in, and listen, Blayne is good. Okay, he's very good at what he does, and I have an example that I use in here. The example is that Blayne at one point goes to Chicago. So I'm pretty sure it's Chicago. So at one point, Blayne goes to Chicago, and he's going to strip clubs, and he's blowing money. The strip clubs are actually outside of Chicago. You have to drive there. I think they don't have any inside. But anyway, so he goes to the strip clubs. He's blowing money. Well, one day after he gets into a limo, and the limo driver, female driver, hears him bragging about how he'd blown like 20 grand or something. He blew over 20 grand in the last couple nights on strippers. And she goes, "What do you do for a living?" And he says, I'm a Forex trader, and I own part of a Forex company called Capital Blue. And they came up with the name Capital. That was the name of the company, Capital Blue.
Why do they call it that?
He thought, I don't know why he came up with Capital Blue, but I do know that he said blue, B-L-U. He knocked the E off because he thought it made it sound more trendy.
Yeah.
I actually have that in the thing that they explained. They asked, and he goes, "I knocked the knee off, the E off because it sounded better."
Blue. Now that's an e-cig company.
Yeah.
So so she hears him talking. He talks to her for 5 minutes, pitches her what he does. She says, I've saved $25,000 for my child's college fund. She goes, maybe I should give it to you. He says something like, our minimum is like 40 grand or 50 grand.
I thought he said it was 100 in the story.
No, and what does he say? It was 100.
In the audio when you sent me, he said the minimum is 100, but I guess
100. No, 100%. He says, yeah, you're right, 100,000.
Yeah.
He goes, the minimum is 100,000. He said, but I like you. I'll take the 25,000.
Damn, that's fucked up.
He just took her fucking kids'
God
job. I mean, this is ruthless.
Man.
That's ruthless.
That is ruthless.
And she wires the money like a week later. She wires the money. Donovan said, he goes, I found out about that at my sentencing. That's the first time I ever heard that about her. Of course, the money just right to Blayne. He's not trading it. So what happens is they end up. There's a guy named Chris Romandetti. He comes in.
Who is he?
So Chris Romandetti he owned the building that they opened one of their offices in. And he comes in and he's an investor, and he owns a bunch of real estate. He comes in and he meets Donovan. Donovan talks to him. Then Donovan arranges a meeting with him, and he and Damien and Blayne, and they all talk and have a talk. And he's dazzled, and he puts $1 million in, and he works out a deal where he gets 2% of any money that he brings in from friends. So Romandetti goes out and he starts raising millions of dollars. So Donovan's raising good money. He's raising some money. Romandetti really rakes in the money. So Romandetti convinces them to buy a plane. So they end up buying like a plane for Capital Blue.
Yeah, I think it was a $2 million citation or something.
Right, so they can fly people around. And all Donovan's really doing is bringing people out on fishing trips. Matter of fact, Blayne actually tells the IRS investigators that he thought of Donovan more as an employee than as a partner. He tells them he had no experience in Forex. Damien had very little experience. And Blayne's a hit or miss guy. He's not brilliant. He's not making a ton of money. The thing is, here's what I always ask Donovan. I was like, why would they bring you in? You don't know anything about Forex.
Yeah.
You sell dirt for a living. And he's like, right. And he said, well, that's the whole thing. I think it was because I didn't know anything. Right. So you're gonna blindly believe anything I tell you.
Yeah.
Because I'm an expert. So if I tell you this is how it works, this is what you go tell them when they ask that. He goes, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, rich guys, and hey, we're going to go fishing and this and this. Yeah, I'm making great money. You see my Ferrari or my Lamborghini. We got a fucking plane. We're making a ton of fucking money. Yeah. Well, how much money can I lose? Like 20%. The most you could lose is 20%. You can lose everything you have.
It's interesting that meanwhile, Blayne. No. Donovan is still rich. His company's still making tons of fucking money during this whole time.
Right.
So he's not, I mean, that guy's more than comfortable.
Right. He's thinking this is the next Google. These guys are making 100% a year, 90% a year. What business do you do that? What I give you $100,000 and a year later I got $200,000.
And how is
a year later I got $400,000.
Is Blayne compensating him in any way?
Well, he is getting a salary. I think he gets like $12,000 to $15,000 a month. He's still owns the dirt business.
Yeah.
He's like, all I really do is bring people on fishing trips and set up seminars.
So he's just investing his time in this blue capital company because he thinks it's going to be a huge hit.
I think it's going to be huge. Plus he's making money and he's still investing money.
Still investing his own money.
His own money.
Yeah.
And getting family and friends and investors and everybody to invest money in this whole thing. So the gap, it turns out, and that's where I actually got the name because there's multiple documents where they talk about the gap. The gap is the difference between what they actually have in the bank.
Like liquid money.
Right. Liquid money and what the investors think they have. So the investors think they have $25 million they're trading. Well, they've already pissed through a couple $1 million. They've only got 19 million left or 20 million left out of the 25. So the gap is the difference between what they actually have and what they're supposed to have. Right.
Yeah.
And that's the gap. Well, what happens is they are trading, and they're trading with a company. One of the trading companies they're dealing with is a company called PFG, Peregrine Financial Group. And that's owned by a guy named Russell Wusendorf. And the company's worth like $1 billion at this time. So they're trading through PFG. Well, they give PFG the money. Well, what happens is in 2008, there's just this catastrophic correction in the market, right? Because it's coming up on the financial crisis. So the market's just up and down. Well, there's this huge correction. And it almost wipes them out. So PFG does a margin call. Hey, we want all our money. You guys are doing it on margin. Well, guess what? It's gone. We need the money. So they immediately, Donovan goes and wires them $1 million. So he's still dumping money in. He has no clue. So they lose a huge chunk. I don't know if it's 20, 30%. I forget what the percentage is. They lose just a ton of money. Oh, man. So they lose a ton of money, and Donovan has no clue. Well, then there's another correction, and basically the company's just wiped out. Whatever. So at this point, they're not wiped out. They still have some money, but they're pretty beat up.
So, explain this like for dummies. PFG, let's say they had 19 million in liquid cash in the bank, and PFG is in control of that 19 million because they're the company that's trading it.
They're trading through them, like they're trading through PFG. For instance, if you come to me and I'm a mortgage broker, I can't just lend you the money. I'm going to a bank or to a lender.
You're the broker,
right? They're the ones who are actually in charge of the actual funds.
So PFG is the broker.
It's like a bank. It's like a bank. No, it's like a bank.
Oh, PFG is the bank.
Capital Blue's like a management company. They're managing it, but the actual company that's buying and selling all of it is PFG.
Okay.
So PFG, so the money, they say, look, you guys told us to do this. We did it. You just lost your money.
Fuck.
Right. So they're like, they don't tell Donovan though. Donovan still has no clue. He thinks everything's cool. We're okay. They don't tell him that the positions are closed and the money's gone. They say that the $1 million helped keep the positions open, and they're going to leave them open until the market corrects, and then they'll sell, and they're fine. No big deal.
Got it.
No big deal.
Got it.
We just bought ourselves some time. No problem. He goes, okay, cool. He's got no problem. He's still putting money in. We're good. I'm going to meet these investors next week. We're good. So
meanwhile, Blayne knows it's
over.
Yeah.
Damien, now at this point, Blayne knows it's over. And Blayne starts coming up with a strategy to start removing the money. How do I remove? So I'm going to start removing all this, as much money as I can, so that I can haul ass. And when I haul ass, I leave these two holding the bag.
Fuck.
So what he does is he and Damien end up going to Switzerland. Well, they go to Slovakia. They end up driving into Switzerland, and they go to Julius Baer's bank, which is it's a bank that's, it's not like a fucking Bank of America.
Yeah.
So they have banks all over the world, none in the United States though. So what happens is they go there and they meet with a guy, and keep in mind, I'm getting all this from Blayne. This is all from his memorandum of interviews that he gave. He said, oh yeah, we met with this guy at Julius Baer's. We met with them all day. They're the offshore kings, and they told us how to open up offshore accounts, and we spent the whole day with them, and Damien opened up an account, and basically they opened up accounts, He then turned around and he opened up accounts with several other banks. And he ends up working out a deal with Wusendorf where he sends him money, and then Wusendorf wires parts of the money. He ends up selling what's called puts. So he ends up buying or selling off positions, and he has the money wired offshore to his own personal bank accounts. And the reason I know that is because when we ordered the documents, one of the documents I got back was Blayne had opened up several offshore accounts in the names of different corporations. One of his corporations was called Nakano Capital Advisors. So he also opened up a bank account with the Bank of China. And I have accounts here, or I have withdrawals that were sent to him, $75,000, $50,000, $9,000, $5,600, $34,000, $4,000, $51,000, $10,000, $110,000, $4,500. I mean, $71,000. The total is $4,900,000 that was sent to different bank accounts. One of them being the Bank of China. So he's got Julius Baer's in the Bank of China. The only reason I want to mention that is because it becomes relevant. So what ends up happening is at some point, Damien realizes things are going wrong. He knows money's being wired, that Blayne's siphoning off money. He calls Donovan and tells Donovan, listen, I think Blayne's stealing from us. So he then goes, tells Donovan, Donovan goes, and they go and they confront Blayne, and Blayne says, Blayne's drunk at the time, and he's like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, look, you're fired. We know you're stealing money. Donovan
why do they suspicion?
Because Damien shows Donovan proof that $115,000 was wired to Blayne's account that was supposed to be wired to their account. And he said, look, and he shows him the documents. Look, I've got the doc. Here's the thing. Look, it was wired directly to his account.
And as soon as Damien showed Donovan proof of this, they found Donovan instantly got a moving truck, went to the office, and then he got an employee to bait Blayne out of the office for like lunch or something, right?
Yeah, for like drinks. And so when Blayne comes back, he's drunk. He's been drinking. They're trying to keep him there. And he's like, "What are you doing?" He's
and
like,
meanwhile, Donovan's cleaned out the office.
Cleaned it out. Locking up the doors. You're done. And he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Look, you're stealing from us." And Blayne says, "That's it. I'm going to Australia."
But Damien's part of stealing it too, right?
Yeah, but Damien feels like all the trades are being done from Blayne. And he knows the whole company's going under. And he knows Blayne's siphoning off money. Doesn't know how much, but he does know it. It's happening.
Yeah.
So what do I do? I'm in this. What do? I need to step back with you, who you're innocent, and it's us against him. He's the con man. Damien knows about the other Ponzi scheme he ran.
Yeah.
Damien's clean. So you and I are clean. We're together. This guy's a fucking career criminal. He's already got one Ponzi scheme. He then opened another Ponzi scheme, and he got you and I, Donovan. No, he didn't. Mm-hmm. He got Donovan.
Yeah.
You joined the
Damien brought Donovan in, right?
And you joined the Ponzi scheme. When you found out your 50 grand was gone, you joined up with him to try and get your 50 grand back. And you roped in Donovan and all of his fucking family and Roman Detti to get a bunch more people. These guys have got $17 million. Some of the documents say it's 18 million. Some say 17. I got some that's 20. But I always go with 17 only because it's a more conservative number. Which is ridiculous.
Very conservative.
But ultimately, that's what Donovan was held responsible for, including his own $2 million. So you're going to say, I lost 17 million, 2 million of it's mine. Yeah. And we're going to sentence you on it. Fuck you. So
restitution.
That's it. You got to pay back your own money.
Damn.
So
and didn't Blayne, when
fucked up.
Blayne showed up half in the bag to the office, he's like, where's my file cabinet?
Yeah, the file cabinet, which is where some of the documents came from.
Because at the time he was already involved in some legal shit, right?
Oh yeah, he was paying back his original victims. His original Ponzi scheme victims, he's paying them back because eventually he got indicted. I mean, not indicted. Eventually, the U.S. attorney Eventually, U.S. attorney, a guy by the name of Hanberg in Orlando, contacts Blayne. Blayne gets a lawyer, brings him in, and says, listen, you've got these investors, you owe them like $500,000, $1 million, whatever it is. You have to, I'm going to indict you. It's called pretrial intervention. I'm going to give you an opportunity to make good. If you can pay them back and fix it, I won't indict you. Blayne convinces Hanberg, I can pay them back, but you have to let me keep working in the same industry that allowed me to fleece them to begin with.
Let me set up another Ponzi scheme so I can pay them back.
Right.
Wow.
I got you.
And they let him.
And he convinced the U.S. attorney.
That's a testament to how slick he is.
Fuck, dude.
So Hanberg says, okay, I'll let you go. Well, let me tell you, Hanberg's pretty slick. Hanberg, you know the Pulse shooting? Remember the Pulse shooting? The guy who goes
the nightclub in Orlando.
kills all the
Oh,
all
yeah.
the homosexuals and right? So he kills them all, right? Remember how they ended up arresting the Pulse shooter's wife, and she goes to trial?
No,
Because
I don't remember
the Pulse shooter's dead.
Okay.
So who do we? Well, he's dead. Fuck, we need to put somebody on trial. Let's go ahead and let's grab his wife. So they indict her.
Well,
She goes to
Say
trial.
She knows about it or something?
They're saying she knows about it. No way she couldn't have known. She had to know. She was in the car when he drove by the place and was staking it out. She this, and she's saying, I don't fucking know nothing. You're crazy. So they put her on trial. He loses. So Hanberg's like, he's just off the chain. You're arresting people that have nothing to fucking do with nothing and putting them on trial, and you lose.
Wow.
He lost
Yeah, they
across
don't
the
like
board.
that.
So anyway, so what happens is he comes in and Blayne ends up starting another Ponzi scheme, steals the money, pays some of those victims back, and then this happens, and then he takes off to Australia.
This is right after
The whole thing
after Donovan
collapses.
came in and cleared out the office because they found out he stole 150 grand.
Right. So 115, I think.
He's on the next flight to Australia.
Australia. Jumps on the plane to Australia, goes straight to Australia. He stays there a week. So he goes.
Why? Because they're calling the cops and blowing the whole scene up, or
yeah,
what?
Yeah, Donovan's going to call the U.S. attorney.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm calling the fucking U.S. attorney. I'm calling the feds.
Fuck it,
This whole
nerds. I'm
thing.
out.
Exactly. This guy's like, I'm done. He jumps on a plane and fucking goes straight to Australia. The thing is, he goes to Australia. Then he goes to, I think it's Singapore. He goes to, the Philippines.
The Philippines.
Yeah. He flies into the Philippines. He goes to Australia, stays there for like a week or 10 day, whatever. Then he goes to the Philippines, and from the Philippines he goes to Hong Kong. Just so happens that Julius Baer's bank, there's in the financial or the banking district, or financial district of Hong Kong, there's a Julius Baer's bank and the Bank of China. So he goes there. He's there for like a few days. Goes there, hangs out, and then flies back to Australia. So if you're in Australia, why would you go straight to where there's two of the major banks that you've been sending money to?
Get money.
Right, so he's pulling
And then
money
fly
out.
back. Huh?
He's pulling the money out.
Either that, resecuring the money, shifting it to a different account, doing something. Now, here's the other thing, which you got to realize too, is this. If you're an American citizen and I open up a bank account with Julius Baer's bank, don't they have to tell the U.S. government that I have a bank account there?
That's a good question.
They do. Technically, they do. They have to. They don't have to tell you how much money's there, but we will tell you one of your citizens has a bank here.
Okay.
So they're supposed to report that.
Right. Unless your wife happens to be Filipino and she's not a U.S. citizen, and she can open up the bank account for you. Now, his wife has a propensity for fraud because she's been indicted for fraud.
Yeah.
She's actually used her mother's information to commit fraud in the United States. Got a loan for $850,000 that they couldn't pay. So the point is that the wife's... So the idea that he could open up a bunch of bank accounts that he has control over using a non-citizen is very doable. There's no reason for him to go to Hong Kong. I mean, as a young guy, I could see wanting to go to Hong Kong for a few days. But and actually, remember I told you I met a couple of guys in Coleman that knew Blayne, that had been locked up with Blayne?
Yeah.
One of the things I say in the story it's funny because I'm like, look, I think this is why he went here because of the banks. It's the only thing that makes sense. But both the guys told me a story. They said he went there. They said he had business there. Never really said what it was. But they did say that he told both of them that he ended up banging a couple of strippers or call girls or something. He was all night, gets like three fucking chicks, brings them back to his place. He's like a really nice hotel, and he's banging them all night long, so bad that he almost misses his flight in the morning. Like he passes out, wakes up late, fucking races there, almost misses the flight. They both told me the same thing. Those are the same two guys that when I said, what's he like? And they both went, he's a lot like you. And I was like, that's fuck, bro. And they were like, no, I mean, he's likable, he's funny, he's nice. You trust him, though. And they looked at him and like,
you would give him your soch.
Yeah, you give him a soch.
You just give him the soch.
So, anyway, that's what happens with that. What are we doing here? Okay, so.
Didn't you say that at one point Donovan or Damien called him and one of the hookers answered the phone? He's like, oh, was that your wife?
Oh, yeah, that was when he was in, in Switzerland.
Oh, okay.
Donovan called, and this a hooker answers the phone, and he goes, is that Melanie? Because that's his wife's name. Is that Melanie? He's like, fuck no, it's just some hooker, bro. What's up? He's like, and I remember Donovan said, I knew right then something was up. Because Donovan said, my dad told me one time that a man that will cheat on his wife will have no problem at all fucking you over. Because if you'll cheat on the woman you love, you got no problem fucking over some guy that means
business
nothing.
Partner.
Right, business partner. Donovan said to me, he goes, I just didn't think I would be that guy.
Yeah.
So, because he liked Blayne.
Hate to see it.
He's like, he was super likable. You just trusted him.
Yeah.
So, what ends up happening is Blayne ends up, what?
Nothing. I'm just laughing about how it relates to you, how it's just like how it reminded him of you. It's just it's so funny because of the you want to like you. I want to trust you. Yeah. You could be fucking me so hard right now and I don't even know about it.
I feel bad about that everybody has that I'm a nice guy. I mean genuinely, I'm trustworthy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Just not with my paycheck.
So, listen, I'm good for all that money. I'm working on it right now. So the point is that he's now back in Australia. He's probably secured his funds. He's good. Well, the government Donovan goes to the U.S. attorney and says, this whole thing's a fraud. It's a Ponzi scheme. I think that Blayne took off with a bunch of money. Now, Donovan doesn't know all of this yet, but he does know that some money has been diverted. He doesn't know to what extent.
Right.
He also thinks that a portion of the money, Blayne and Damien are saying all the money was lost in PFG. Donovan's looking at the documents and saying, I don't think so. We didn't have all the money in PFG. There's still several $1 million left. Now, of course, everything's been closed up. The government comes in and shuts everything off. Donovan doesn't have access to it. So he goes to Hamburg and he explains, look, this guy Blayne, blah, blah. He's like, look, I know all about Blayne. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, and he explains about the first Ponzi scheme. He's like, well, if you fucking knew about him, then what'd you let him keep doing it for?
Yeah.
Why'd you let him? And so
Hamburg is the U.S. attorney.
U.S. attorney in Orlando. So Hamburg gets upset with Donovan and tells him and his lawyer to get out. We're done. So then Donovan, the CFTC comes in, which is a governing body. They come in and they sue for the trades and the loss of the money and the mishandling of all the funds. And they sue Donovan and they sue Damien. They sue Capital Blue. They sue Blayne. Of course, Blayne's in Australia.
Yeah.
So they go to the trial. Donovan never testifies. Damien testifies. During that testimony, Donovan finds out that his initial, this is when he finds out that basically his initial investment was never traded. It's just spent here, spent here. So he's like, okay, the first the 50, then the other 50, then the 100, then the 100, then the this, then the that, then my parents went there. All of it's going all over the place because they have the documents. So this is the first time he realizes this is all bullshit and Damien's definitely in on it. But he said, but I don't really say anything at that point. I still keep saying, yeah, it's Blayne's fault, it's Blayne's fault. So he ends up going to Damien one day and they're going over all the stuff because they think they're going to be indicted. So they're looking over all the documents and Donovan says, look, we need to get all this stuff correct. And Damien goes, what if we find some documents that show that Blayne is solely responsible? And he goes,
some emails.
Yeah, some emails. And he goes, do you have those? Why didn't you give them to the lawyers? And he says, no, I haven't found them yet. He said, but what if we find, and he does air quotes.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, what are you talking about? And he's like, what do you mean find? You mean like make? He's like, yeah, what if we make? And he goes, oh, no. He goes, I don't want anything to do with that. He gets up and leaves. He calls his lawyer and he says, look, Damien's talking about faking emails. You got to call the feds. So he calls Hamburg. They talk. They end up hooking him up with, I think it's might be a Secret Service agent. They're going to wire him up. Well, something happens and they decide not to. Like they're like, we're not going to wire you up and have you get information on Damien. So instead, Donovan takes it upon himself, and I think he uses his cell phone, and he wires himself up, and he goes back a couple days later, and he says, hey, and he starts talking to him about, remember that time, the last time I was here, and you talked about finding some emails, and he's like, yeah, that was stupid. He's like, well, what were you talking about? So he gets him to basically start talking about, well, I'm saying, like, if we, like, maybe made some emails.
Right.
He's like, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do that. He's like, he starts talking to him about possibly taking a plea and helping the government. He's like, okay, well, how can I help them? I don't know anything. So I can't help them with the case against Blayne because I don't know what Blayne was doing. So what am I going to say? And so Damien's like, yeah, but if you just help them, he's like, what am I going to say? Like make something up? He goes like, yeah, if you say, it doesn't have to be true. Keep in mind, I've got all the transcripts. Donovan had all this transcribed. So this is Damien talking about lying for the benefit of the government. Mm-hmm. He says it on there. All we've got to do is give them information or tell them what they want to hear to help them with their case, and we can get a reduced sentence, and we barely have to do any time, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Donovan goes, I'm not going to do anything like that. I didn't do anything wrong. So what ends up happening is eventually Damien takes a plea and tells Donovan, sends him this email right here which says, can't talk anymore, you've been recording our conversations. That's a copy of the screenshot.
How do you find out?
That's the whole thing. Hamburg told him. Had to tell him.
Either they're using text message screenshots.
Yeah, this is the screenshot that when he sent him, I can't talk to you anymore.
Right.
So Damien sent him this text saying, hey, I can't talk to you, you're recording our phone. The only way to know that, Donovan said the only way for him to know that is the U.S. government. Now, a couple days after this, he takes a plea. Damien takes a plea. So the government told him, this guy's recording you. The government had to. They're the only ones that knew because Donovan's taking the recordings, telling his lawyer's then sending him to the Secret Service and the U.S. attorney. The U.S. attorney then tells him, stop talking to this guy, he's recording you. He's recording you saying you're going to manufacture emails.
Yeah.
And that you're going to lie for us to help convict these guys.
Damn.
So that's the email they sent him. And look, I got fucking tons of this shit. So Donovan's tried to explain the whole thing, right? Hamburg doesn't believe him. I don't believe you.
He thinks Donovan's
in on it. So Donovan says, this guy will not believe me. And he's using this guy who's talking about manufacturing evidence to try and convict me. He may indict me. I'm worried. I know what'll convince him. I'm going to go to an FBI expert that does polygraphs, and I'm going to have him polygraph me. So Donovan has himself polygraphed about whether he was a part of that fucking Ponzi scheme or not. And this is an FBI, what do they call them? Polyographers or some fucking thing?
Polyographer.
Is it really? That sounds good. Let's go with that.
Let's do it.
Okay. And it says, I evaluated this examination as not indicative of deception. He didn't deceive anybody. He's not lying.
He ain't lying.
Right. This is the same guy that the FBI uses. So Hamburg indicts Donovan. And then Blayne at some point flies. So this is funny. This isn't funny. See, I have a bad sense of humor. It's not funny.
Kind of is.
It's probably funny.
It's that Donovan said he's like on a fucking excavator or something, right? And he gets a phone call from a guy who's a programmer in Canada. Turns out Blayne flew to Canada, and after he flew to Canada, he started another company, another Ponzi scheme. He starts another Ponzi scheme, and
he fucking needs money.
I don't think so. I think it's just what he did. Listen, when I had a few $1 million and I was on the run and I've got,
let's go to Vegas and find some homeless people,
and let's just keep doing it. It's good. It's what I do. I have to do something. I'm good at it. I enjoy it.
There's a rush in it, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's fun. It's not that difficult once you start doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
You keep upping the ante. It's good. It's
gotta get it while you can.
Yeah, it's good. So I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yeah.
So what does Blayne do? Even if he's got a few $1 million, fuck it. I'm gonna go open another place and get some more money.
Right.
Why wouldn't I? So you got to do something.
Yeah.
So he opens up AGM Capital, goes to Canada, and he gets this guy. How much does he get this guy for? Is it over $500,000? Yeah. So the guy ends up getting a mortgage on his house, pulling out over $500,000 and gives it to Blayne.
Wow.
And so the guy called Donovan on the phone, told him what happened, asked him, do you know who this guy is? I found this website. I found your name. I found this. And Donovan's like, yeah, the guy fucking ripped me off too. He ripped a bunch of people off. He's probably going to get me fucking indicted. And so Donovan's like, so there's probably more people in that Ponzi scheme. I got one guy track me down. How many other guys are out there in Canada? So that's a third Ponzi scheme. So Blayne is flying all over the country, right? Well, not the country, the world. He's a big shot. He happens to fly into Houston, right? He flies into Houston. He's popping in, going to leave. Just going to visit the wife. So,
hey, babe, I'm going to come do a pop-in, see how you're doing. I've been in Australia for the past...
check.
Yeah. The Secret Service almost caught him like a month earlier. They almost caught him on June 1st. He was supposed to fly in. They found out about it, and for some reason, he just stopped. He didn't show up, changed his plans. Well, then he flies in like a month. It's a month later, on July 18th, 2010. He flies in, and when he's going through customs, his passport, hits an alert, and they come and they grab him, they arrest him, and they bring him to U.S. Marshals holdover, and they won't give him bond. I don't know why. So. Oh yeah, I forgot about the part where he was in Perth, Australia, and the
process servers
come and he thinks he's being arrested. That's hilarious because I have the whole thing.
He's like tanning by the pool or something.
Tanning.
They
He's
come to
getting
serve
on the
him.
elevator. They come to him.
Drinking a margarita.
They ask what his name is, and he's like, David. They're like, okay, well, David. And they're looking at him like, well, the picture, you look like Blayne Davis. So he keeps lying and lying and lying. Eventually, he pushes the button for his dad. His dad's voice is like, yeah, what's up? He's like, Dad, they got me. So it ends up he's just being served papers. But then eventually he flies into Houston and he gets grabbed by the Secret Service. So now he's arrested. So that's that. So
and where he's arrested, where is Damien and Donovan at this point?
Yeah, they've been indicted. And the government has a star witness, which was the bookkeeper at Capital Blue.
Oh, yeah.
Beth Courtney. So Beth says that she was being given numbers by Blayne, and Damien was asking her to change the numbers. And she says Donovan knew about it. It's never really, Donovan says, it's just her word saying that she says that. He goes, I did not know about it. She says, no, that he was a part of a phone call one time where she spoke to him. He was in the room one time. He knew about it. Like, never really said that she had a conversation, but he was definitely there.
Yeah.
Donovan said, if I was in the room at all and they were talking about the gap, I wouldn't have necessarily known what they were talking about because he thought the gap was an industry term, which he thought the gap was the difference between what the liquidation cost or price was and what the actual contracts or something. Where he said he thought it was an industry term. He goes, I didn't really know enough about it.
Yeah.
So he said, I kind of stayed out of it. He's like, so I don't know what she's talking about. She says clearly he knew. So,
it's not good for Donovan.
It's not good for Donovan because basically without her.
How'd she say that?
I don't know. I don't know. I do know that she is related to Chris Romandetti. Chris Romandetti.
To the attorney? The state's attorney?
The guy that dumped $1 million of his own money in and got a bunch of buddies to dump it. The guy that raised the bulk of the $17 million that's now missing. Romandetti hates Donovan's guts. He's furious. He still loves Blayne. Thinks Blaine's amazing. Doesn't have a problem with Blayne and Damien. Can't stand Donovan. I'm not sure.
Because Donovan brought him in?
I think Donovan brought him in. I think Donovan probably... He
thinks Donovan knows about it?
I think he thinks Donovan probably didn't know anything. At this point, I don't think Romandetti... I don't know what Romandetti thinks. But I know he's related to Beth. So here's the other thing. What's interesting? So we've got a little Ponzi scheme, which is I probably lost half the viewers so far. You got a little Ponzi scheme. I'm gonna wrap it up here. We're on page. We're wrapping.
This
up.
is a short podcast.
Yeah, this is we're like halfway.
We're only 40 minutes in.
We don't have to do 2 hours. Come on, I gotta get dinner. I barely ate today.
All right, I'm kind of hungry.
We'll take you out to eat after this.
What did I have? I had a small omelet. I had a 520 calorie omelet.
You count your calories?
Well, it says it right. Yeah.
Really?
Bro,
Look at him.
Why do you count calories?
Count cows.
I'm fucking amazing.
Are you keto?
50?
Are you keto?
I don't know what keto is, bro. I don't know what all that is.
All right, keep
Danny's
going.
keto.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay, so I so want to say some stuff right now. Anyway,
Say it.
No, the point is, listen. Do you remember PFG?
Yes.
I remember PFG.
They were trading
I do.
under PFG, and PFG lost all the money.
And who was the guy who was the CEO of PFG again?
Wussendorf. Russell Wussendorf.
Right.
Okay, so we've got all our money, not all of it. We've got a bunch of money in PFG, and they do a margin call, and it wipes us out.
Yeah.
Well, PFG was a Ponzi scheme.
What?
It was
They
a
were too?
$300 or $400 million Ponzi scheme. Is one of the largest Ponzi schemes It was the largest FOREX Ponzi scheme ever.
Gotta be, yeah, for that much money.
Wow.
So they didn't trade a fucking thing. Russell Wussendorf didn't trade a thing.
Saw the millions
He
they
just
gave.
saw the
Blayne know
opportunity.
this?
No. Blayne is doing side deals with them. The truth is, he's thinking he's convincing like a legitimate guy to help fucking siphon money and do that. No, he's not. This guy's a crook.
So it is like the Russian dolls.
So he got played
It is
too,
the
just
Russian
like
dolls.
he's playing everybody
Did you like
else.
that comparison?
I love that comparison.
It's the little Ponzi scheme and the bigger Ponzi scheme and then the huge Ponzi scheme on top of it. So this is 3 Ponzi schemes, one on top of
just
the other.
living in the bowels of the bigger Ponzi.
Nice
Damn.
bowels, right? In prison, no thesaurus came up with bowels. Okay, so, Sancho, I did have a thesaurus. That's completely untrue. I did have a thesaurus, but I didn't have spell check or anything. So listen, okay, so Wussendorf. Here's the problem with Wussendorf. Wussendorf has been running how do you run like a fucking $500 million Ponzi scheme for, is it 20 years he's been doing it?
He's a little bit sharper than Blayne.
A little sharper than Blayne. Here's how he does
But he's
it.
just doing the same thing. Just
Yeah,
on
but
a
on a
much
massive
bigger
scale.
Yeah.
So-
Except he's ripping off businesses.
Other businesses.
He's
not just
ripping off
individuals.
Ponzi schemes, not just, friends with money.
Yeah, he's ripping off people like Capital Blue.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like a Madoff.
Right. So exactly.
Yeah.
So what happens is
And where I'm sorry, but
Is he
where
going
was
200?
PFG located? Where were they based out of?
Chicago.
Chicago.
Right.
I feel like so many Ponzi schemes were in Florida.
Florida's filled with a lot of criminals.
It really is.
A ton.
A lot.
I've met a ton of like the
Financial criminals.
Yeah. Remember the Vitali story, Atonement?
Yeah.
Where he's raising all the money. He said, listen, he goes, you go to Palm Beach area, and he said, it's fucking inundated. He said, everybody you meet's a fucking, is a scam artist.
So many stories I've heard of Ponzi schemes getting busted during the financial crisis in 2008.
Yeah.
In
How
that
long
were
did they
from
run?
Florida. Like
Right. But they're running forever. So
Right.
you're running 5 years, you're like, yeah, everything's great. And then the economy takes a huge correction and you go, and it just destroys your whole fucking thing. You could go forever.
how long? Yeah, right. What if they're like?
Look, Madoff, Madoff could have gone forever. He'd gone for like fucking 15 or 20 years. I know guys that have gone fucking 10, 15 years on Ponzi schemes. And that one correction, they don't fucking account for that. And then
never.
everybody says, "Oh, I'm scared. Give me my money back." And they're like,
Right.
"Oh, fuck, about that money.
Yeah.
My bad." So, all right. So Wusendorf,
You're so likable.
here's.
Oops.
I feel bad. So listen, here's what Wusendorf does. All the money he's trading is through U.S. Bank. So all his accounts are U.S. Bank accounts. They're handling everything, which is nothing, by the way. He's not trading anything. So he's just stealing the money. He's blown $200 million here. He's lost just tons of money. Over $200 million was gone, including Capital Blue money, $6 million. I mean, this guy, nearly $500 million had flowed through PFG. Gone. So here's the problem. He's going to keep going. He could just keep going and going. The problem is that the CFTC changes their reporting status. He had reported to PFG all the paperwork that comes into the bank that has to be filled out by bank officials was all going to a P.O. box he had opened in the name of U.S. Bank. So the CFTC is mailing these reports to his P.O. box. He's filling them out and sending them back.
Yeah.
But now they're going to do it electronically directly to the bank. So they're not going to be fooled by the P.O. box.
Right.
So he realizes it's over. In like a couple of days, they're going to report, and they're going to know that I'm supposed to have $300 million in the bank, and I've actually only got $6 million. And it's over. I'm done. So he does what any good Ponzi scheme person should do. He gets a car, and he gets a hose.
Fuck out of Dodge.
And he tries to commit suicide.
No, should do.
Should do.
Oh.
He gets the hose, and he puts it in, and he does the thing, and he puts it in the pipe, and he duct tapes it up, and he cuts a little slit. You know what? The only part that bothers me about his suicide attempt is that he's driving like a Chevy Cavalier or something. I mean, nobody deserves to die in a Chevy Cavalier. I mean, you've got $6 million. You couldn't go buy a fucking
In the
Mercedes.
Bentley?
A Bentley?
Maybe it had some sort of sentimental value to him.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah, that's true. That maybe it was. Maybe it was his first car or something.
Yeah.
I'm still don't give a shit.
Hell no.
If I'm doing that, it's gonna be in something decent.
Yeah.
So he takes a handful of pills. He drinks down some liquor. He writes a letter explaining that he hasn't made any trades. All the money's gone. Everything.
Damn.
Leaves it on the front thing. Starts the car.
That's
breathes
gotta be
it
a
in.
shitty way to die.
Yeah, he's hardcore, bro. He's going out. And it would have worked out perfect.
I wouldn't call that hardcore.
Well, he's not sticking a gun in his head.
Right.
I wrote one story about a guy that took a gun and stuck it in his head and pulled the trigger, and it didn't kill him.
Oh, it
So
just
then
fucked him up.
Blew through his fucking eye cavities, and so now he's blind, laying there on the ground. He has to find the gun.
Fuck.
Now he's got to find the fucking gun and shoot himself again. He killed himself the second time. Back to Wusendorf. Wusendorf would have killed himself, except one of his employees really enjoyed his job, and he showed up about an hour early and found his boss in the back parking lot in
Getting
the car.
all gassed up.
Yeah, passed out, and he goes and he opens the door and calls and says, "Hey, you might want to come get that. Some shit's going
It's all
wrong."
fucked up.
The company's a little fucked up, and I think maybe more fucked up than I think.
Dude's high as hell.
Fucking the owner of the company's in a fucking Cavalier. So
he killed his buzz.
yep. So he wakes up in the hospital.
Yeah.
They've got his
Worst
confession
nightmare.
letter.
Oh,
So
no.
Wusendorf.
That's the worst case scenario.
What did they give Wusendorf? I think they gave him like.
Wakes up in the hospital, handcuffed to the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave him a chunk of time. Yeah.
And you just snitched yourself out in the letter on top of it.
Oh,
Oh,
fuck, dude.
Wusendorf's yeah. So Wusendorf's already like 70, by the way. They gave him. Oh, he'd been running a Ponzi scheme for 20 years. PFG was a 20-year Ponzi
He started when he
scheme.
was 50.
Not too bad.
It was $376 million.
Not
it was
too late for you, kid.
1,300
I still got
investors.
time.
He'd blown through 115 million. Shit. What did they end up giving him? Damn it. They gave him like a chunk of time. Wasn't doable for a guy who was like 65 or 70. Anyway, so he's dying in jail. So what else happens? Blayne's in prison. Oh, yeah, the trial. Donovan goes to trial. I'd like to point out that you've been no help at all. What was the fucking guy that
I'm
did
doing
the
my
comments?
job. I'm shutting up.
I read a few comments. They want a whole podcast episode about your hair.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do. They want a whole interview on the hair grafts. Okay, I need one more. I need one more hair graft.
I think I need.
Why?
I'm starting to lose.
You fooled me with that one. I can usually tell when people got fucked up hair implants, but yours I couldn't. I honestly could not tell.
I'm starting to get a little thin.
I'm not an expert in hair grafts, but
I mean, listen.
I need some work done.
I need one
You
more.
got a guy?
I had 3 surgeries. I had 1 surgery. I mean, I had 2 surgeries. I needed 1 more surgery, and it would be 100% coverage. So it's thin. It's thin.
When's the last time you got surgery?
Need one.
Oh, it was like 6 months, 8 months before I got grabbed.
That motherfucker. That shit held up strong.
I don't take them. You're supposed to take medication, so your hair stops falling out. Or
That
receding.
motherfucker did a damn good job.
Yeah, it's
You want to shout him out?
I don't know what his name is.
I'll give him my soch for a hair graft.
I actually got in an argument with the surgeon before he did it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
About what?
Okay, because a male hairline, it goes to a point, right? It recedes into like a
Corners.
a V, right? And I said, listen, I want you to round it at the edges, just round it slightly. And he goes, well, that's not how a hairline is. And I went, yeah, I know, I understand, but I see these guys that have it and it doesn't look right. He's like, yeah, but that's naturally how it goes. I go, yeah, I know, but I feel like it looks better if you round it slightly.
Yeah.
I go, we're talking about a little tiny thing. He was like, that's not really how it's supposed to go. I said, well, I understand how it's not supposed to go. I said, but I'm supposed to be bald. I go, but I'm supposed to be bald right now too.
I'm giving you
Right.
money.
I said,
I'm asking
right. I
you to
said,
do
so
it.
just can you do it? And he goes, I mean, if you want it to not look natural. And I went, yeah, I want it to not look natural. So can you do it? So he's like, well, I don't. So we start bickering. My girlfriend was there at the time, and she's like, "Oh, hey!" She's like, "This guy's about to fucking. What are you doing?
Cut on your head and shit."
Passed out. This guy's gonna have a knife." And I'm like,
Did you have to go unconscious for that?
"No, they give you a Valium, and you basically fall asleep. So
Oh, shit.
you put headphones in.
Yeah.
They got like 3 girls who are cutting up the little shit. Oh, it's a whole fucking thing. And so you basically fall asleep, and then they do it for like 4 hours.
Where does the hair come from?
Cut from the back of your head.
Oh.
They take the hair out of there and put it up front.
Yeah, they take a swath of
And
hair
just-
like it looks like a popsicle stick. So they actually cut you, pull it off. They pull it off,
And it
you hear
keeps
it's like,
growing.
Oh,
what
fuck
the
and then
that.
they stitch this shit down.
One Valium ain't gonna do it for me for all that.
No, I'm numb. You're all
One
numb back there.
Valium?
You can't feel nothing.
Or
You're
gas
numb.
me up.
Face is numb. The
fucking
nose is
cavalier.
numb.
Oh my
Yeah, it's all fucked up. Listen. It was painful. I mean, yeah, it was bad. Not as painful as being bald.
Do you want to go in for a third touch-up?
Fuck yeah.
How much does that shit cost?
It was $7,000 each surgery.
Oh.
It was. Listen,
They say
but
plastic
it was
surgery.
$14,000.
That's way out of my budget.
But it's okay because it was Bank of America's money. So it was really some of the best money I spent. Really, John.
Money well spent.
That, the nose job, the fucking listen. I mean, I'm fucking.
Is it true that plastic surgery is like once you pop, you can't stop? You just get addicted to keep going back.
Oh, I would
Like
listen.
tattoos.
I'd love to go back.
Like
I'll go-
tattoos, yeah.
If you give me $50,000 right now, 15 or 20 of it's going into plastic.
What are
surgery.
you doing? What's the
Bro,
first
I
thing you
need
do?
some touch-ups. I mean, fuck.
What do you need? You need touch-ups?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want fucking the
Going
love
for it.
handles done. I don't really have them, but they're kind of there. They're kind of not there. I mean, you need some,
This is my opportunity to interject, okay? I want everyone watching this to go to patreon.com/InsideTrueCrime. Matt is doing audiobooks and all kinds of stuff. You can go pay him and support his livelihood here to write these stories. So this guy can go get the fucking ab reduction and get some more hair work done. And what else do you need done?
I would probably like to go in again and do like another what they call
The
a mini
neck tuck?
facelift. Yeah, I feel like it's. I'm feeling the whole. It's not good. It's
Danny
not
needs
good.
bunion surgery.
Yeah.
bunion surgery.
I got like you ever seen LeBron James's feet?
I actually have a photo of his feet. No, I've never seen it.
I got his feet.
I don't. Okay.
All right,
So,
patreon.com/InsideTrueCrime.
We're way off topic.
yeah, bro. Listen, you know what I need? All these guys are fucking like, you got to do a podcast. You got to do a pod. Bro, I need some subscribers.
Yeah, you
Can't be
need that
doing
too.
a fucking a podcast
subscribe
for
first.
6,000 I got 6,500 maybe. I got 6,500 subscribers. I need like fucking 50,000 subscribers for it to be worth it to do it. Otherwise, I'm just
That's
busting my
right.
ass for nothing.
50,000. Matt will do a podcast.
Let's get Matt to 50,000 subscribers. Can we do it?
Sounds like a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, we could do it.
What's wrong with that's reasonable?
We can do it.
Tell a friend.
Let's do it. Just tell a friend. Just share it with a friend. Send an email. Send a text. Whatever you got to do.
Nice.
We're getting Donovan right now.
These Ponzi guys, like I remember. Listen, I remember I was talking to Vitali one time, and I was like, I don't understand. You did this in your own fucking name. He's like, yeah. Well, he's like, because when it falls apart, when this happens, he goes, the problem. He goes, see, if it goes wrong, he goes, look, 9 out of 10 of these things go wrong. If you invest a bunch of money into this business and it goes under, 9 out of 10 go business. He goes, so you don't really realize you got taken. And I went, yeah, but he goes, and these are legitimate businesses. They don't have much of a chance, but you don't know that as an investor. He goes, and I don't know that. Maybe it will work. I don't know. I go, yeah, but if you're going to do that, why wouldn't you just set the company up, set it up so it really looks like it's going to take off, fabricate the entire thing, and then just go in as using a false identity? I said, you set up the bank accounts in false identities. You don't put any of the money into the fucking thing, and you take the whole $5 or $10 million and you disappear. You don't take $1 million and you might end up in prison. You take fucking $10 million, and when they come looking, they're looking for somebody else.
Right.
That's what you do. And he's like, fuck, bro. He said, that's fucking, how would you get the bank account? So we started like,
But don't take my word for it. I'm in here for fucking 26 years.
Yeah. So, but yeah, a lot of these guys, they get jammed up by doing a little something fucked up, and they're like, yeah, that's okay. It's just a little bit. It won't. Look, there's no difference between a little fucked up and straight fraud.
Yeah. Maybe
so
they
I'm not
think
taking
like
100,000.
It's got a
I'm going for
chance
the
of
million.
going good or something. Maybe they think.
They think I'll get away with it.
Maybe it'll work out or something.
Maybe hope's not a strategy.
Yeah.
So anyway,
All right. So
probably didn't look good.
I think the last time we left off was Blayne got arrested, and Donovan and Donovan and Damien.
Donovan is going to trial.
He
gets indicted. He's going to trial.
Right.
Blayne's going to testify. Damien's going to testify. So he's got these two guys are now.
Did they say Donovan knows?
They're saying Donovan knew.
Oh yeah.
Fuck.
Donovan absolutely knew.
Motherfucker.
But keep in mind,
And the bank lady says he knows.
They both know that to get my sentence reduced, if I help the government and they get a conviction, I don't get as much time.
Yeah.
If I was going to get 10 years, I might get 3 or 4
So
years.
they throw him right under the bus.
Fuck those motherfuckers.
And the government is ready to do this. Now, at this point, Handberg has declined to prosecute. He says, I'm not going to prosecute him.
Prosecute who? Donovan?
I'm not going to prosecute the Capitol Blue at all. Anybody involved, I'm not going to.
Why?
Not going to indict him. Well, I'm going to get to that. I'm glad you asked that, because I actually have a pretty good idea of why. So he says I'm not going to. But what happens is the district D.C. comes in, the D.C. attorneys come in, and they take over the case. So the U.S. Attorney's Office in the District of Columbia comes in and they take over the case and they decide to prosecute. So that attorney U.S. Attorneys, they come in, they indict everybody, and they're going to trial. So now Donovan's going to trial. The judge is, did I tell you this? This is one of my favorite parts. When the whole company gets liquidated, like they come in here, they give it to a receiver. You know what a receiver is? It's a guy that comes in, he looks through all the documents, he tells you how much the company's worth, then he breaks it apart and he sells the company and he gives the money over to the government.
Okay.
Whatever money he could scrounge out of it left, he gives it to the government.
Yeah, exactly. Because, of course, there's very little money. And in this case in particular, the guy is the judge, which is a judge by the name of Antoon, ends up handing it over to this receiver, and the receiver ends up stealing the last $3.5 million of capital.
The receiver does?
The receiver steals the money.
What the?
Sells off
Who
everything.
the fuck's the receiver?
Destroys the evidence. So the FBI comes in a few months after the receiver takes over everything, and the FBI comes in, they raid the receiver, and they arrest him, and he turns out
This dude just decides
For the last
this
few
is his
years,
time. He's just going to pick this case to steal the money.
Oh no, he's been doing it for the last 5 or 10 years. He's been stealing. He stole millions and millions. So I forget what 10 or 20 million. I have the amount is in here. He ends up getting 10 years. So one of the things that happened was
with thieves.
One of the things that happened was
something's fishy about Hamburg too.
You know, I'm glad you said that.
I can feel it.
They're gonna like the Hamburg
something fucking
thing.
weird going on with that guy.
So what happens is
fishy.
What happens is they hand off. So when the receiver gets all the stuff, one of the things he gets is the servers, which has a server, which has all of the hard drives in it, right?
All the information and shit.
He gets the hard drives. He destroys them. So they're destroyed. So remember the emails that Damien had talked about fabricating?
Yeah.
How do you authenticate emails? You
check them on the server.
The servers.
Yeah.
The hard drives. They're gone. They're destroyed. So at this point, the government indicts everybody, and they go to trial. Donovan, of course, says, I'm not pleading guilty.
Yeah.
I haven't done a fucking thing wrong. And Damien, he says, I got recordings and everything else that says that Damien was talking about fabricating emails. So, of course, I want to authenticate those. Where's all the documents? The government says, we don't have any documents. They were all part of the servers, and the servers have been destroyed. And so he turns around and he says, okay, well, he gives them his laptop. Here's my laptop. You can try and find them on that. Okay, we'll take your laptop. Then he says, what about Damien's computers? Damien had computers. Damien sold him his computers on like eBay. So they can't find those. I think they track them down eventually, and then they say like there's nothing on them, or they were given back to the receiver, tracked them down or something. They're gone. So Donovan goes to trial.
So none of those voice recordings are there anymore.
No, he has the voice recording, but he can't present the voice recordings. His lawyer says, no, it's illegal for you to record people that. It makes you look bad. No, we don't need it anyway. His lawyer presents a defense that is absolutely ridiculous. His lawyer presents a defense that says all of your investors signed documents that said that they were aware that they could lose all of their investment. Therefore, you're not guilty.
Because they lost their money.
Because they lost their money and they signed a document saying that they knew that was a risk.
Right.
Listen, it's a legal argument that is meritless, and there's nothing that supports it. Yeah. There's no case law that helps. It is absurd, and I think it cost Donovan $500,000 for his defense, something along those lines, for the most fucking horrible defense possible. And the lawyer just botched it one fucking thing after another. He botches.
Wow.
So,
do you think that he should have let him present that?
What? The
recordings.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'll take the hit. Charge me. What are you going to charge me with? Oh, you illegally recorded something. Okay, great. So charge me with that. I'll take the 6 months probation, so I can present Damien talking about fabricating emails.
Right.
But his lawyer, no, it looks bad. Plus, the government might not. The judge probably won't allow it because it's illegal. We can't use it. Whatever.
Damn.
So, but Donovan's convinced that he hasn't done anything wrong. It's going to be fine. We're going to authenticate. Then he finds out that the servers are gone. Then he goes to the government and they ask for is there anything, can you find the computers? You can't find them. He's okay. What about my laptop? You never gave us a laptop. You don't know about any laptop.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know about.
Wow.
We don't know where any servers are. We don't know shit. We don't know nothing. Everything was gone. The receiver destroyed everything. It must have been with him. So they're just covering and covering and covering. So he ends up going to trial, and at trial, Damien gets on the stand, and Damien starts saying, yes, the emails prove this, and the emails prove that. And Donovan's saying, I've never seen this email. I've never seen this email. I don't know what this email is. And this is the other thing too. So the new judge is called Carlos Mendoza. So Carlos Mendoza is a new judge. This is his very first criminal trial. He's a state judge who just became a federal judge. So He sentences Blayne. Blayne goes to trial, by the way. Remember his first Ponzi scheme?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've now indicted him.
On the first one.
They indict him in Orlando, or they indict him.
Why, he didn't pay the money back, or?
Well, because he committed another crime.
Another crime.
So our deal's off.
Yeah, okay.
So they indict him. He goes to trial because he's Blayne. He's cocky.
Yeah.
I can convince these people I didn't do anything. He gets on the stand and he tells them that, yes, I did get these guys money. I gave it all to this guy who's a European investor I was working with, gave him the money, and he took off with it. It's not my fault.
Who, Wujin?
No. Just nobody.
Oh, he's just making some guy up.
As a matter of fact, they mock him. The U.S. attorney mocks him during the deliberations, and they say, they keep calling the guy the international man of mystery. Blayne can't come up with one bank statement, email, fucking correct name, an address, nothing. It's just some random guy that you handed over, and he tells him like he handed him over cash.
Yeah, cash money.
So guys are giving you checks, you're cashing it, and then they go and they show his bank accounts. Money's going into your bank account and paying your bills. So how did you? I mean, you're looking at the fucking jury saying this. It's ridiculous. 10,000 went in. I paid $1,100 for my Mercedes. I paid $2,000 for my rent. I paid $1,000 to my fucking bank account. It's almost done. It's just 30 more minutes. So I got this. So that's it. So all of that money is just gone. And then he says, no, I cashed it and gave the guy cash, and he took off with the money. Found guilty, obviously.
Yeah.
So he's found guilty. So when Mendoza, before Donovan is tried, when Mendoza sentences Blayne, he says, obviously, this is a scam, obviously, and then you did this scam and you went and opened an even bigger scam, and you and your co-defendants, or the other owners of Capital Blue, committed fraud when you did this. Now think about it. I'm going to trial. You're sentencing one of my co-defendants, and you say specifically, I'm guilty.
Already.
Right.
In
Already.
someone else's trial.
Right. So I'm saying that, Jane, obviously you're guilty. You and your co-defendant.
Yeah.
He's going to trial. How do you know I'm guilty?
Yeah.
He may be pleading guilty, but or lost at trial and pleading. Blayne, of course, pleads guilty. After he loses, he then comes in and pleads guilty.
Yeah.
He gets like 12 years total. So anybody agrees to testify. He's been convinced that if you just testify, we'll reduce your sentence. So what ends up happening is Donovan goes to trial. They even talk about it in here. Matter of fact, this is the one right here where they talk about, first of all, they start off the trial saying Donovan was the original investor, and he was brought in as an investor, and he was duped into investing in the thing, and initially he didn't know anything. Then all the emails that show that eventually he did know what was going on, they actually say here, they talk about this piece right here, talks about where they say some of the emails couldn't be authenticated. And you actually did come up with one computer, but you can't figure out why they're not authenticated off that computer. And they're like, yeah, we haven't been able to figure that out yet. But it's okay. We know they're true because Damien said those are the emails he sent. That should have never been allowed to. You should have never allowed that. You can't tell me that I wrote the emails and I get to authenticate them.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
So if I fabricate something, I also get to authenticate that it's true. We know we've got evidence showing that I had intended to fabricate it.
Right.
So that's just ridiculous. Okay, so.
Do they give him a part of the company so that he takes the fall in the end?
Of course, that's got to be part of Blayne's
That's
whole
the whole,
thing.
that's
I'm
part
leaving.
of it from the beginning, right?
Yeah, I'm
Do you
leaving.
think
these
that
two.
he was that clever?
I
Got
think
to,
that.
right?
I think that he was clever enough to realize when the whole thing was going down. One, they were clever enough to come in and say, we can clip this dude for another fucking $600,000.
Yeah.
Plus.
Give him money, and he'll take some of the fall.
Right.
All of the fucking
Right.
fall.
Plus he'll bring us in more money, and when it all comes down, he's the face of the company. He's the guy driving the Lamborghinis. He's the guy bringing in all the money.
Looking
He's the guy
flashy.
Blayne never talks.
They played him like a fiddle.
Blayne doesn't talk to any investors.
God damn.
He's not. Roman Daddy and Donovan brought in all the money. And you can say, okay, well, Roman Daddy probably didn't know anything, right? Roman Daddy's a good guy. You know, he's probably not a bad guy. He probably got all of his friends to bring in money. First of all, you're making 2% on all of your buddies.
Yeah.
Right.
Your buddy puts in $1
why
million.
wouldn't you bring all your friends in?
Right, right. And I'm making 2%. You know damn well he don't tell anybody he's making 2%.
Hell no. Hell no.
He doesn't tell anybody. I know that because on
you
the
make
stand,
a good return. You don't got to tell him that.
right, on the stand when he testifies, he's saying, I didn't have any deal.
2%.
I didn't. Man, we got fucking text messages where his wife is texting Damien saying, you owe us $100,000 for all the people you're supposed to pay us back this money for the commissions.
Right.
So, I mean, he's just a lying sack of shit. Plus, of course, by the way, Roman Daddy was also indicted for running a boiler room and was being investigated while this was going on. So they let him testify knowing he's running a boiler room and he's being investigated by the FBI. And they put him on the stand and let him fucking talk shit about Donovan. I didn't know.
Damn.
And I'm completely broke. He stole all my money. Come on, man, stop it. Okay, so so they can't authenticate the emails. The servers are gone. The government knows the servers are gone. Knows that the what the fuck's the guy? The receiver destroyed them all. Yeah. So in the end, when they his lawyers brought up the fact that these things are gone, right? Several times when during closing arguments, they actually say the U.S. attorney actually comes in and says, "Listen, there's no proof that he put." He starts off by saying Donovan was the original. The U.S. government comes in eventually and saying Donovan was the original investor. And started as an investor. In the end, when they do their closing arguments, they say he didn't put any money in. There's not any proof that he ever put a dime into this. They also say, and there's no proof that anybody took any servers or anything. The only person that we believe took the servers and destroyed them is Donovan. And they say all that in the end. So they've completely shifted, even throughout the trial, completely against him. And this is my Roman Daddy thing, where Roman Daddy actually gets on the stand and talks about how Donovan, how he's lost all of his money, and Donovan, they completely duped him, and Donovan has just destroyed his life while he's running his boiler room, a pump and dump scheme boiler room.
Wow.
And he's making millions, by the way, and ripping people off left and right. So while that's happening, that's what Roman Daddy's doing. So Roman Daddy's word, I guess maybe it's good.
Donovan's just surrounded by fucking criminals.
It's just fucking amazing. It's
They're just
amazing.
feeding off him.
Huh? This is Roman Daddy's indictment, by the way. Here's some of the money that they were bringing in. 5,000, here's what, 174,000, 40,000, 20,000, 35,000. At that point, I just kind of was like, okay, well, clearly there's some money there. And it's a pump and dump scheme.
Wow.
Nice, right? So, Donovan goes to trial. Damien, they put him on the stand. The jury, for some fucking reason, believes him.
No.
Yeah. And it's funny because Mendoza at the very end actually says, when he's about to find him guilty, he actually says, for some reason, he goes, the jury believed at least some of what he said. I mean, this is what he's saying about the star witness.
That's what the judge said?
This guy's a liar. He's been caught multiple times, but apparently the jury believed him.
Yeah.
This is what Mendoza said.
Yeah.
Mendoza kind of botched the whole thing. He's let a bunch of information in. He should have been a mistrial. There's a whole bunch of issues that have happened during the trial. It's his first trial. He's not great at it yet.
Yeah.
Federal rules are different than state rules, whatever. So he finds Donovan guilty. Donovan, by the way, had been told by his lawyer the entire time the most he could get was 3 or 4 years. So Donovan got 17 years.
God
17
damn.
million in fraud, including, out of the 17 million, $2 million is his own money. So they sentenced him on $2 million of his own money. Now, as soon as it's done, the government moves to seize all of Donovan's assets. But remember,
The dirt company?
The dirt company. But remember,
His
the dirt
parents own
company is
it?
technically owned by his family.
Right.
So they go in to get all the cars, the boats.
They're trying to
the
get everything, huh?
They're like, this is a
Those
it's
fuckers.
Right. So the family puts up a fight, and they actually eventually the government loses. And they say, no, you can't take all of our shit because it's our son. It's our son. He doesn't own everything. He's part of the company. He's part of our family. He's part of this. But it's a family.
Yeah.
Right. He don't own it.
Right. So they don't end up getting all that
Good.
stuff. Yeah. Well, he does own one company, but think about it. He is the company. Mm-hmm. It's like if you own a painting company, it's like me and my 5 guys. Well, the moment I'm gone, my 5 guys are gone. Where's the company?
Right.
So but as far as they were trying to seize the assets, the land, the houses, the cars, airplanes, everything. No. So
Damien got off?
No, Damien ends up getting, I forget what he gets, 3 or 4 years. I mean, I'm positive I have it.
So you said the jury, they believed him though.
They believed him. They believed Damien. I mean, they believed him.
But he still got a guilty verdict?
Well, yeah, because he pled guilty.
Oh, he pled guilty. Okay.
So when he goes to get sentenced, he gets what's called a 5K1, which is, you're supposed to get 7 or 8 years, whatever it is. But because you're supposed to get 10 years, but you cooperated, so we're going to give you 5 years instead of 10.
Yeah. Right.
Because you cooperated. So Damien ends up getting, he's in front of Carlos Mendoza, but Donovan got 17 years.
God damn. What did Blayne get?
Oh, wait. Damien got 70 months.
How many?
So Damien gets 70
months?
months. Here's what's beautiful. You're going to love this. Donovan's been found guilty. He's sentenced. He's now in prison. Oh, not in prison. He's in he's in the Marshals, the holdover, which is at the local jail. Damien, when he gets sentenced, they remand him right there. So he thinks he's going to be able to turn himself in. He was told he was going to be able to turn himself in. They say, no, remand.
What does that mean, remand?
We're taking you right now.
Right there from the courtroom.
Oh, yeah.
So they take him right then. Boom. So they stick him in the fucking van, start driving him.
Damn.
Donovan won 17 years. Damien, 70 months. They end up going to the same holding facility.
Oh, shit.
They're in 2 different pods.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Damien, on his way to the prison, or to the holding facility, he's bitching and moaning and crying, and there's an inmate that's in there with him was his name Tiago, right? Tiago just fucking got a bunch of time, so they're all handcuffed up and driving. They're miserable. They're moving,
pissed
and
off.
He's pitching and moaning. He's like, I can't believe they gave me 70 months. He's like, I testified. He's never been in prison,
so
he doesn't know. You don't start talking about testifying.
He's some
and
IT
shit.
guy.
Yeah, he's an IT nerd. So he's like, I testified for the government. I said all kinds of shit. I said exactly what they told me to say. I lied about Donovan. I got him a conviction, and they said they were going to give me a lot less time, and they were going to let me self-surrender, and they fucking gave me 70 months, and then they remanded me. This is bullshit. And Tiago actually says it's probably not a good idea that you run around saying that you testified against the government.
Shit.
Tiago's like a career criminal. He's going to the pen. So he goes, okay. So he gets dropped off. They don't end up in the same cell, but they can see each other.
Oh, shit.
Okay, they end up different pods.
Yeah.
So you can a lot of times you can see into the other pod that's got 50 guys or 75 guys, and you can see the guys. And so Donovan's like, motherfucker. So they can see each other. Well, while he's in that pod, Damien also complains to his cellie. I fucking testified against this guy.
Oh my
I lied about him. I did everything the government asked me to do.
Does Damien know he's over there? He knows he's in the same holding
Donovan
facility?
can see.
They can see each other.
Right, they can see each other.
So they both know.
Right.
Okay.
So it's not until... So he ends up saying this to like 4 guys. It's not until later that Donovan finds out. Right? So one of the guys ends up getting transferred, moved into like Donovan's unit, or they end up in the yard at the same time. Yeah. And he tells Donovan, this fucking guy's saying that he testified against you. He's saying he lied. He did this. He said he lied on the stand. And he's like, fuck. Now, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Matt, come on. How do you know that? So here's the affidavit.
Exactly what I was thinking.
I know you are. Because you know me.
We know you.
I'm all about the fucking document. So here's the affidavit.
Fucking backup.
Here's the affidavit from Calipari. I don't know how to say it. Anyway, Matthew Calipari. He says, yeah, you can take a look. Yeah. This is the one from Ron Grokoff. Ronald Grokoff, same thing. I did everything the government wanted me to say, even stuff that wasn't true just to get a conviction on Don. They told me I would get to self-report and lots less time. You fucking piece of shit. So, okay, so Don Easter affidavit. I don't have one from Tiago, okay? We don't have one from Tiago in this font because Donovan didn't meet Tiago. He doesn't know Tiago. He never saw him. They were never in the same pod. They were never even close to each other.
So how do you know about him?
I'm glad you asked. Thank you. So what happens
He's
is
more than a 200-pound hat rack.
when Donovan gets to the prison,
Yeah.
and he sees some of these guys, he's like, hey, you're so-and-so. He's like, yeah, what happened, this and that and this. So Donovan files paperwork with the court saying, I want a new trial. This motherfucker admitted that he lied on the stand. I got affidavits. So this guy named Frank, I don't know, it's not Amadeo, it's not Frank, it's another Frank. Frank, like, I forget his fucking name. This other guy, Frank, types up the affidavits and gets everybody to sign them. Okay? So Donovan files the
Prisoners?
Yeah, prisoners.
Okay.
So they type it up, get these three guys that were also locked up with Donovan,
Right.
and they all sign them. Yes, I met Damien. Yes, this is what he says. The
Wow.
government.
Why
then,
would they do shit like this?
Yeah, why would they do that?
What?
That's a good question.
Help him?
Why would
they
they
just type this shit up in there and fucking
Well, because
help this guy?
Because they felt like it was wrong. This guy. First of all, everybody hates a snitch.
Yeah. Okay.
So and two, they're
Fucking
like,
snitch.
you shouldn't be here. So it's like, look, if I'm locked up.
So they're finding out Donovan's innocent.
Yeah, they're like, you shouldn't be. So Donovan's sitting there like, I didn't fucking do it. He tells, look, I put some money in. These motherfuckers stuck it with me. I went to trial. I fucked up. I didn't realize that 50% of innocent people
He
still
was
end
a
up in
victim.
prison.
They saw him as like the victim
Right,
of this
so
little
they're like-
skinny nerdy rat.
Right. So I used to always say, I'm lucky. I'm 100% guilty.
Yeah.
It would be torment to be in prison and have not done anything and be surrounded.
my
I can't
gosh.
bitch and moan that I'm surrounded by these fucking
Christ,
dirtbags
yeah.
Right, you know
because
what
I'm
you
a
did.
dirtbag.
Yeah.
Right.
But if I was a clean-cut guy who'd done nothing wrong, I'd be.
And you invested your money.
I lost all my money, a bunch of my fucking family's money, and I got 17 years.
Yeah, all your friends and family.
Right. And so inmates, I understand they're all scumbags, but you know what? The fact is that they're kind of like, okay, yeah, but I should be here, and he shouldn't, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
So what do? Yeah, I'll sign an affidavit. Of course, Donovan's like, oh, you sign an affidavit? Sure, okay. So he signs an affidavit. I'll sign it. Fuck it.
Yeah.
So the government then looks into it because he filed with now he wants a new trial. And they're like, fuck, let's look into this fucking guy saying this shit. So they send in some Secret Service and IRS agents, and they start checking it out. And they're trying to debunk what he's saying. They're trying to say, look, it's not true. They go to these guys and say, look, did you say this? Did you say this? Did you say? And they're like, yeah, that's what I said. That's what the guy said. That's my affidavit. I signed that. That's what he said. Will you testify to that? Absolutely. And they're like, fuck. So they're trying to figure out how do we make this thing go away. Oh, he came over in the van with somebody. Let's talk to that guy. So they track Tiago down. He's in the pen at Coleman.
Yeah.
I think the bulk of the guys
What are they
going
expecting him to say?
well, they're thinking at least he'll either say nothing or who knows? We just were looking for somebody that will say it's bullshit.
Yeah.
They're reaching for
Right.
something.
So they go to Tiago. They said, do you remember this guy? He's like, they're named Damien? No. They show him a picture and he goes, oh, yeah, I remember that guy. I called him Little Dreads because he had like little dready hair. And yeah, I remember that guy. Do you remember him saying anything? Yeah, I remember he was saying that he had testified. And I told him he shouldn't be telling people that. Yeah. Especially because he said he lied about his co-defendant. He was really pissed off.
Right.
Because
That's not what they want to hear.
Fuck.
They're
So
like,
the government found the fourth witness.
Yeah.
So here's the interview with Tiago. This is the interview. The government comes and then they interview everybody. They all say the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
The government says the same thing. All these guys say the same thing to the government. Okay. Remember Damien?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, Blayne. So
Yes.
Blayne.
Oh, yeah, we haven't talked about him in a
Blayne's
minute.
pissed off because Blayne was never allowed to testify. They bring him back and sit him in the back cell, but they never let him testify. They don't let him testify because he's not going to say the same thing that Damien's going to say.
Yeah, it's going to be different.
So we can't have him. We only need Damien. Damien will authenticate the emails. Damien will, so we're not going to.
To convict Donovan.
Huh?
To convict Donovan.
Right. He's not going to say the exact same thing. He's still ready to say it, but they haven't been able to connect to get their stories straight. So there's a deviation in the stories. So they don't let him testify, and then they don't reduce his sentence. They told him. Sentence. They told Blayne they would reduce his sentence. So Blayne writes this angry fucking letter talking about how what Damien said was a lie, and they didn't put him on the stand because he wasn't going to verify the same thing that Damien did. And he writes this letter to the U.S. attorney, and Donovan gets a copy of the letter. Okay, so
how did Donovan get a copy of this?
Crazy. Everybody just writes letters.
How did Donovan get a copy of this?
Everybody.
Well, a lot of it's Freedom of Information Act.
Matt got the copy.
No. Donovan got that. I get this. This is what I got.
Okay.
It's funny because people like Donovan, they're so fucking overwhelmed and obsessed with this shit. It's all. I mean, plus, I get it if you have this crazy thing like this lawsuit against you, like you're with every fiber of your being, you are trying to fight it and find every scrap of evidence. But on top of that, they're in prison. They have nothing else to do.
Right.
So I guess it's not really a lot to find something like that.
Well, no, I was going to say prior to that, think about it. Prior to that, you're still trying to live your fucking life.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to live my life, pay the lawyers, and go through. The lawyers are the least amount of work they do on your case, the more money they make.
Yeah.
So I'm not busting my ass that much.
And his lawyer didn't seem to do that good.
No, he didn't do well at all. Okay, so Donovan puts in the motion, remember? He says, look, I got all these fucking things. Your Honor, I've got this. The government even went and found this. I need a new trial. Look, it's true. So Donovan puts in all that. So this is the summary where he explains about Grufoff and I don't know these guys, Easter and all these fucking guys. That's all this. Yep. So that's that document. So Mendoza looks at that, reads through it, and denies it immediately. Immediately. Here's his reason why he denies it. He says the entire scheme was thought up by Frank Amadeo.
What?
See, he knows who Frank Amadeo. All the judges know who Frank Amadeo is. He's fucking giving them.
How do they bring this guy into it?
And if you don't know who Frank Amadeo is the guy who filed both my 2255s and got 12 years off my fucking sentences. Is the only reason that I'm not in prison right now. And my out date was 2030. I'm supposed to be in prison right now, but it's Frank Amadeo that got me out.
He's a genius.
Watch the earlier podcast
genius,
for
bipolar.
the Frank Amadeo stuff.
No, we didn't do a podcast on him.
We talked about him.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
We didn't tell the whole story, though.
No, but his story is on my channel,
Inside True Crime.
And he is going to take over the world, and he is going to be emperor. So,
and we're going to do a podcast with him.
Bro. He's fucking awesome. So, Mendoza says because the same guy that typed up these documents was named Frank, it's Frank Amadeo. Then he says it's also they have to have coordinated. Sorry, am I doing it wrong?
Yeah, you're a little too far forward. You're good.
Am I good? Okay.
You were overshooting it. You're good.
Okay. So he also says, he turns it down because he says all of the typed up affidavits, all the formats are the exact same, and all of the fonts are the exact same. So it all had to be coordinated by Frank Amadeo. Now, let me point out something to you.
Too perfect.
If Mendoza's listening to this.
Which I'm sure he
is. We have about 20, that's crazy. 15 Swintech typewriters that are 30 years old that don't have any they don't have any fucking spell check or any type of
in prison you're talking about.
In prison. They are manual.
You guys are fucking typewriting.
So you could type these documents up on 5 different ones. They will all look the same because it's all the same. They're all the same wheels.
Font,
they're all the same font. It's all the same. It's all the same format. That is actually the reason he denies this.
This judge has no clue about that?
No clue. He actually says precisely the same font, the same format and font. Right here. Same font.
That's Frank Amadeo.
As the same stuff that Frank Amadeo uses. Well, yeah, they're in the same fucking prison. The whole fucking place has Swintex. They're 30-year-old Swintex. They won't give us computers. God forbid. So, yeah, so that's why right here, Mr. Amadeo. He talks about Mr. Amadeo here. They hate Amadeo.
That's fucking hilarious.
Isn't that funny? Okay, so Donovan's in there. He's completely fucked.
Jeez.
Shout out to Frank Amadeo.
Yeah. So Blayne is furious. This is another document from his talking about a 5K1. He deserves a 5K1, or he got a 5K1. He deserves a Rule 35. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Okay, so now I'm in with Donovan. I'm writing a story. Mm-hmm. So I start writing the story. I start doing evidence. I start looking for evidence. He's got a ton of stuff, and I say to him, okay. I said, yeah, it'd be great if we could get this, we get that. And he's like, yeah, well, I don't know. What do you mean? I said, if we could get the stuff from Wusendorf. Like from the stuff, because you guys were trading through him, maybe they've got documents we could use. And he's like, well, yeah, I couldn't get that. And I was like, well, let's do a Freedom of Information Act. I said, to be honest, Donovan, you should get a Freedom of Information Act on everything.
Right.
And he goes, well, why would I do that? I mean, I have all the stuff in my thing. I mean, he's thinking like a normal person.
Right.
The government gave me everything. So we already said the government has lied about this and lied about that. He's like, right, but why would they then turn around and give me the same documents that they've lied about? And I go, because they would give you those documents because the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing in the federal government. Trust me, I made a ton of fucking money
doing this
by manipulating public records to make millions because I knew the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing. Mm-hmm. I said, so you order it because the same guy that's in Iowa somewhere or one of them fucking square states up north who's a funky fucking FBI agent or Secret Service agent working in their Freedom of Information Act department. Trust me, you're in the basement somewhere looking up documents, not why you signed on to be a Secret Service agent. So that guy doesn't know that the U.S. attorney in D.C. lied because it's not listed anywhere. He doesn't know him.
Yeah.
So if you ask for those documents that he said you didn't have, you may get them. And he goes, okay, well, how do I do that? I say, look, I got a form letter. So we fill out the form letter. We send it in. He gets back something. First, he gets back something that says that they have no documents. Then he goes back and says, well, that's not true. I know you have documents. You just prosecuted me.
Yeah.
They come back and they say, well, I got 54 documents. He says, listen, I know that's not true.
Okay.
Then they come back and they go, okay, fine, we have 200,000 documents.
Jesus.
But it's going to take us 3 years to compile them, and we need $15,000. Well, Donovan still has some money. So Donovan's like,
so he says, all right, fuck it.
Compiling.
Yeah.
And then
There's plenty of dirt to go around, people.
Right.
Yeah.
So then he ends up getting this letter from the Secret Service that says, hey, listen, we have these, we've obtained these external hard drives.
That went missing?
We have them in our vault, our evidence vault. What do you want us to do with them? So Donovan goes, Matt, I got this in the mail. Came to Coleman right here, Donovan Davis. He's like, they fucking got the hard drives. No, I said, I thought the hard drives were destroyed. He said, well, they have them.
The receiver supposedly
The
destroyed?
receiver destroyed them, right.
Yeah.
They actually, what happened was, the Secret Service came in and made copies of everything before they gave it to the receiver, which is what they're supposed to do.
Sure.
They still have the copies.
Nice.
Do you want the copies?
Fuck yeah.
So and he goes, yeah, I do want them. So Donovan goes and he says, okay, I do want them. So he calls his wife, Christy. Christy then calls and says, absolutely, we want them. So she told me on the phone, I talked to her yesterday, and she told me that she called, how many times did she call? She called for, I think, almost 2 weeks straight and left messages. I want them. Finally, she got a call back from a guy that Donovan's suing right now. She got a phone call back from this guy, and he said he did have them. He said, yeah, I got them. Oh, here's his name. Agent Roy Dotson. So he's in the evidence department. So Dotson says, yeah, we've got them, but they've been erased. She goes, okay, well, I want them.
Yeah.
He goes, well, why do you want them? They've been erased. She's okay, well, I still want them. Because she's got this thing, this data analysis company that's going to fucking go through
They can recover them.
She thinks they can be recovered.
Right, maybe something's there.
She goes, I don't care, I want them.
Yeah.
She's trying to get her fucking husband out of prison.
Yeah.
Damn,
So she goes, I want him. And he goes, well, she goes, I can come down today and get him. She goes, oh, no. They're in our vault. It's going to take about a week or two. You got to schedule an appointment. She says, okay, fine. So she schedules an appointment. She goes and gets a private investigator to go with her, like almost 2 weeks later. She goes down there. She gets them. They get them. They bring them straight here to data analysis. Data analysis looks through them and says, I've never seen anything scrub this good.
Wow.
They go, this thing's past the fucking factory settings. There's nothing on these things.
Damn.
Nothing. They're blank. Can't tell anything was even written on them. And she's like, fuck. So, but Donovan and I keep getting documents in from the government.
Mm-hmm.
One of the documents we get in tells that when Christie called, let's say, for the sake of argument, on the 1st, they said they'd been wiped. They're blank. We get a document in that says on the 5th, they wiped them.
After they got them.
5 days after you talked to her, you then erased them.
Right.
You said they were erased before already. No.
They
erased
can
them 5
prove
days.
that.
Yeah, they got a document that shows when they were erased. We got them out of the vault. We erased them. We then gave them to her.
Oh my.
By the way, you're not
Why the
allowed to
fuck are they
erase
doing all that
evidence.
shit?
You're not allowed to
No.
erase evidence. Okay? It's completely against protocol, policy, fucking just in general. All right? So you can't do that. So Donovan's suing that guy and a few other people. So Donovan's like, fuck, this is bullshit. I can't believe they did that. It's upsetting. So then he goes, you know what? What about my laptop? Where's my laptop? So he then contacts them, or he goes to the judge. He files paperwork with the judge saying, they just erased this with the court. They erased this. I want my laptop. They have my laptop. Because he has documents in showing they have it. So then they go, and Christie contacts them, and they come back. And the government comes back, and the government says, it's been destroyed.
Of course.
He destroyed the Let me tell you what happened with my laptops when I got arrested. I got arrested. I was by the Secret Service. They seized all my equipment. They seized everything. They seized all my hard drive. They seized everything I had. They seized all my laptops, everything. 6 years later, 2 Secret Service agents drove down from Atlanta. They pulled me out. They bring me to a room and they say, hey, we're with the Secret Service. And I said, okay. And they said, we have your laptops. I said, okay. And they said, do you want them back? We have them. I said, well, no, I don't want them. They go, okay, well, I said, it's old technology and I'm about to fucking spend another 20 years in this fucking place. So yeah, I'm good. Thanks. Keep them.
Fuck do I care?
And she goes, okay, well, we need to destroy them, but you have to sign this paper. And I went, you drove down here, both of you? She goes, well, there's 2 of us. We have to be here to witness it, and you have to sign for us to destroy them. Not Donovan.
No,
Donovan,
they just wipe his shit.
Wiped his shit clean, and his laptop, personal laptop, they just destroy it. So Donovan's suing that woman too. The Secret Service agent did that too. So remember, he wasn't prosecuted out of Orlando. Donovan wasn't prosecuted out of Orlando. Remember Hamburg? So why wasn't he prosecuted out of Orlando? Right? That's one of the questions, was like, why? Doesn't make sense. It was in Orlando. They had all the evidence. All the witnesses are there. All the victims are within. Why would you have these guys in D.C.? Why? How do they come in?
Yeah.
Okay. So I wasn't quite sure of that. And this is what happened basically after the gap. Like after the gap and after I left, these are the kinds of things this is the part that started.
So this is after you told. This is after you wrote the story.
After I wrote the story, after I left, there's little things that are happening, and Donovan and his wife are starting to put it together. So I've spoken with his wife, and she over the last several days, and last week she sent me a packet, and I went over the whole thing because she's really deep into it.
Yeah.
So
God, that's got to be rough, man.
Oh yeah,
he's in there for how long has he been in there to date?
Like six years, 5, 6, 6.
So we got like at least 10 left.
And still be married and visiting. How often does his wife visit him?
You know what? Is it 5 or 6 years now? Yeah.
Damn.
Well, his wife comes every single. They have a scale. You can only come you have points, so you have to have so many points. So you end up coming like every 2 weeks or whatever. So his wife comes like 2 or 3 weeks out of the month, and they have to balance how many this and how many points is this, and do we get free points that day? Listen, they make you jump through hoops like you can't fucking believe. They don't want your family coming.
Yeah.
I mean, they say, oh, we do everything we can. They do everything they can to not have your family come. And this guy has a beautiful wife, amazing person, just a great person all around. He's got a little baby daughter that gets to that's basically, I think she's probably like 4 now, maybe 4 or 5 years old now. I think she was born like just before.
Yeah.
So he's probably been in about 5 years. So she's running around. So she's experiencing daddy in the prison visitation room.
Growing up, yeah. She'll be fucking 15 before he's out.
Yeah, she's adorable.
God damn.
And he got 17 years because some
he was
fucking
a sucker.
he's a sucker.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because he was a fucking mark.
Yeah.
And he made the mistake of going to trial. To me, you should have fucking tried
Took the plea.
I would have come in and just taken, because he didn't know any better.
How many years they give him for the plea?
No, he probably would have got 3 or 4 years.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Absolutely. No way he would have got more than 3 or 4 years.
His lawyer really fucked up.
Do you understand that
bad.
the guys that committed the crime that are hands down guilty?
Got half the time he got. Not even.
Not even.
Not even.
One guy is 7 years. The other guy's 70 months.
Yeah.
They're out. Damien's out. Blaynes will be out in another year or two. Donovan got fucking a decade left.
He should sue his lawyer.
That's probably happening. So here is why the this is what's they've come
Why they
across
didn't indict him on the Orlando stuff?
in Orlando, right?
Yeah.
So Blayne told the IRS agents. By the way, the IRS, it sounds funny, the IRS agents are essentially like the Secret Service or FBI. They're massive now. Like, people don't realize, like, the IRS, bro, they're investigating. The IRS isn't investigating just taxes. The IRS is investigating the same kind of shit that fucking anything to do with money. Mm-hmm. So they're practically like the Secret Service or FBI.
Wow.
So they come in, they're investigating, and the pilot, remember the plane? There was a pilot by the name of his name is Wiley. His last name was Wiley. I have his first name here somewhere. Anyway, so Wiley was the pilot for Capital Blue. He's also the pilot for several other rich people. So he tells Blayne, hey, listen, I know I'm on a first name basis with Hamburg, U.S. Attorney Hamburg, and I know him, and I can get him to not prosecute you guys. Give me $10,000, and I'll make sure that he just passes on it because it's questionable. And so he says,
the pilot says that to Blayne.
Tells Blayne that. Blayne gives him, approximately 2 to 3 weeks after the Naples office was shut down, Blayne gave Wiley $10,000 in cash. He said he was scared. Wiley said he was going to pay off Roger Hamburg. Wiley had indicated that he knew Hamburg on a one-on-one basis. Davis said that, which is Blayne. Blayne said there should be a debit out of his Regions bank account. Blayne said that his wife, Melanie, whatever, was in the car with him when he gave Wayne the money. He also recalled that he talked to his father about the matter, and his father was aware that he'd gone through with it and given him the money. Okay. Wiley told Blayne Davis that he would make his life hell if he didn't pay him the money.
So is this pilot just another scammer, or is he serious?
I don't think so. Basically, because here's the thing. That happens, and then they don't prosecute.
They don't prosecute him.
So what's the reason that they didn't prosecute him? Years went by.
Yeah.
It wasn't like 2 months
Hamburg
later
was
they
dirty.
handed it off to the U.S. attorney or to these guys in D.C. Years go by.
Yeah.
So we're talking about 4 or 5 years go by before D.C. gets involved. Okay, so Wiley. By the way, pilot is named Kevin Wiley. Blayne says he paid him off. Okay, did he? I don't know, but I do know that Hamburg didn't prosecute him.
Right.
So the other thing is, there are two guys by the name of Joseph Langston and another guy by the name of Richard Scruggs. It's a tough name. Scruggs.
Buster Scruggs. Yeah.
Okay, so we got Richard Scruggs and we got Scruggs and we got Langston. Langston happens to know Wiley. Wiley was his pilot. Well, Langston and Scruggs end up getting indicted for bribing judges. In fact, out of Mississippi, they end up bribing a bunch of judges. Scruggs is has one of the largest tobacco settlements in U.S. history. He convinced 46 different states. He convinced multiple tobacco companies to pay out $246 billion.
Oh.
He made over $1 billion himself. He's one of the richest fucking attorneys ever.
Holy shit.
Here's the interesting part is he did that. Part of the way he did that was bribing judges.
Yeah.
Judges, juries, lawyers, everything. So when these guys get indicted, they got a major fucking problem.
Yeah.
The problem is
they got dirt on everybody.
Right. So when the government steps in and they've indicted these guys, do you prosecute these guys? How hard do you prosecute these guys when these guys are going to touch judges, prosecutors, other lawyers, defense attorneys? Right. They're going to, and one of them is a U.S. senator. One of the guys that was involved was a U.S. senator. Think about it, a senator can put pressure on these tobacco companies. Just settle. So they come in. Langston gets indicted. Scruggs gets indicted. They come in. They are going to plead guilty. They plead guilty, but they're going to get their sentence reduced. How can you get your sentence reduced? You have to cooperate.
Yeah, you got to testify and
right.
cooperate.
Well, yeah, but if Danny and I both plead guilty, who am I cooperating against? I don't really have anybody. So the more you can provide, assuming you have stuff to provide, which they don't have a lot to provide. So they're trying to get a sweetheart deal. Well, Wiley ends up telling Langston, listen, I can give you information. I can give you information on a company that's is about to be indicted. They're going under. They stole a bunch of money. It's a Ponzi scheme. I can give you information. You can give it to the government, and you'll get a reduction for that. And so Langston says, okay. And I have the report. That's the report where I said I had that report where this was when he talks to the FBI. Oh, Joey Langston. Langston gives the information. The source of the information was Kevin Wiley. And Langston gives the information to the IRS. Well, what happens is the IRS ends up saying, and it's all on Capital Blue. They talk about Capital Blue. At his sentencing, they talk about how he gave information about Capital Blue, and they're going to reduce his sentence because of this information he gave on Capital Blue. Okay, Danny, for you to get a reduction, you give information to someone. So I tell on you, you get sentenced, you found guilty, sentenced, and then I get my sentence cut. Mm-hmm. In 2007 or 8, he was given a reduction on his sentence. He got 3 years. He got 3 years. Capital Blue wasn't prosecuted until 2015. So you gave the information, you got your sentence cut. Before Capital Blue was even went to trial, he'd already served his time and was out.
Years before.
Wow.
Years before. Now, the other guy, I'm pretty sure that Scruggs is still locked up. He didn't have the information. And the problem is that if you look at it, the IRS, the agents say that the information he gave didn't help at all. It was useless. But they used it to give him a reduction. So how do you cover up all of this? How do you make sure that he did give us information and we did use it and it did help? You have to have the prosecution. But Hamburg won't prosecute. So DC comes in, takes the case, and they prosecute. Because we want to make sure there's prosecutions and there are people found guilty because we gave this guy a sweetheart deal.
Right.
So to me, that makes sense. It's a loose connection, but it's a connection for sure. It's all capital blue, and it doesn't make sense. You gave this guy a reduction for something that just doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. So anyway, so that's all. And the whole thing is, and here's the thing is that anything that Donovan files, Mendoza automatically denies. And you were asking, like, why would he do that?
Right.
Why does Mendoza keep doing it?
Right.
So the only thing that makes sense to me is, one, it was his first case. Two, you're bringing up mistakes that he made. Mm-hmm. So my first case that lasted 8 or 9 days cost probably $1 million to try. And I kind of botched the case. I let in evidence, and I got a guy that says he's guilty, and he went to prison. It's better for me to keep him in prison than for me to say, I fucked up. Let's give him another trial. Let's fix this.
Damn.
I don't want to say that. People don't own up to their shit.
Yeah.
They better off bury it. And what does it matter? We got some black guy who digs holes. He sells dirt for a living. Yeah. So is he as important as a federal judge's reputation? No, of course not. Let him do the time. And honestly, I'm sure
the guy's
just like the Mueller thing.
Yeah, kind of. They don't want to. They don't want to tarnish their reputation.
Yeah, they're not going to take the fall for fucking these guys.
Yeah. Same thing with Rossini. Right. He's a drug dealer. Let him sit in prison. Same with this guy. He's just some black guy that digs dirt. What does it matter? Let him sit. And in his mind, I'm sure he's justified it too.
Yeah.
Keep in mind Donovan, he did get people to invest into a
scam.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And look, maybe even Mendoza initially thought
he didn't deserve 17.
Right. No. Well, but when he gave it to him, he probably thought he did. But since then, you've got at this point, Mendoza knows
there's overwhelming blowback.
Why? Right. Why is the government destroyed evidence?
Yeah.
Why have they destroyed? Why did they erase the
servers,
tapes?
hard drives, laptops?
Exactly. Why? And what about these witnesses? Why these guys? What the affidavits? Yeah. At this point, he's making shit up to deny it.
Right.
Oh, they're all in the same font. What are you fucking talking about? They're in the same font.
That's a crazy ass excuse.
It was Frank Amadeo.
Right. It was an Amadeo. He's fucking doing that. No, it's not. I mean, he's not even looking into it. So the other thing is, and we had mentioned this, was what was funny is that so I get out, right? I get out of prison. All this stuff's going on. And since I've gotten out, I was still in the halfway house when I talked to Damien. So I talked to Damien. I tell Damien, look, man, I ask him, to look at the story and help me with the story.
Yeah.
Let's write a backstory. What's your opinion? What do you think? Mm-hmm. Donovan's ready to talk. Mm-hmm. He's ready to tell everybody I didn't do it. Damien spins me. Oh, I read the story a long time ago when it was on the website. I'll let you know. Let me read it again this weekend. I call him after the weekend. What happened? Did you read it? I didn't get time. I'll read it in a couple days. Call him again a couple days later. Oh, I started to read it. I'm going to read it this weekend. I didn't do it. Then eventually he just doesn't answer the phone or return a text.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He didn't want to talk about it. So I tried to have a discussion with him. He just won't even discuss. He keeps spinning and spinning and spinning. Blayne, on the other hand, Blayne's fucking a maniac. Blayne has an assistant that sent me, while I was in the halfway house, sent me a fucking email saying he had read the whole thing and that it was just nothing but blatant lies. And I was like, so I can't, he said, and if I didn't remove it, within the next 10 days, he was filing a lawsuit. So I came back and I said, well, first of all, I'm not going to be threatened. I feel pretty confident that I am protected by the First Amendment.
Yeah.
And that even as a felon, you can't take that from me. Right. I said, and you're some fucking guy in prison. I said, so listen, I said, I'm not doing that. But what I will do is this, Blayne. I said, anything in this document that you show me that I cannot prove or that I've said is 100% true and isn't, I will certainly redact it or I will rewrite the entire thing based on the evidence you can provide.
Right.
So he comes back and he says, you said this and you said that, where did you get that information? And I said, well, I got that from the IRS agent, the Secret Service agent it was the FDLE agent that testified at your sentencing, or that testified during your trial, the trial that you lost. Are you saying that the FDLE agent lied?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Or FBI, whoever it was. I think it was FDLE. Are you saying he lied? Because you lost trial, so clearly it was believed. So I feel pretty confident about that one. Well, where did you get these numbers? There's no proof that I have any offshore accounts with any money in it. And I go, where did I get the offshore accounts? Well, here's where I got it. And then I say, this document, this. You told the IRS agents this.
Yeah.
I said, and I have proof that money was wired here, and I have proof that you went in. So I explained the whole thing. Passes on that. Then he comes back, well, what about this? You said this. I said, where'd I get that? I got that from your factual stipulations, which you stipulated to at sentencing. So I got that from what you said. Or are you telling me that you lied to the court? Because that's where I got that from what you said, what you agreed to.
Oh, God.
He comes back, well, you said that the FBI proved that I was funneling money offshore. You don't know what you're talking about. He goes, the FBI, this went on for, by the way, a month. Back, forth, back, through his assistant.
Yeah.
He comes back and he says, the FBI wasn't even involved in my case, or in Capital Blue. You don't know what you're talking about. And I come back and I go, Blayne, I said, you're absolutely right. But when I did a Freedom of Information Act for PFG and on Wussendorf, coupled with a request for any information with Capital Blue, I got the FBI documents which stated that you were liquidating the assets, you were liquidating the company, and you were shipping all the money offshore, and that Wussendorf was working with you to funnel money offshore. And I gave him the actual numbers of the documents, and I said, I suggest you do a Freedom of Information Act for the Chicago field office for the FBI. You'll get the same documents. I never heard from that motherfucker again. He told me he was going to sue me.
Damn. No, he knows you got it covered.
I got you, bro. I'm not fucking around.
What happened to Wussendorf?
Oh, Wussendorf, he's still in prison.
How long? Oh, he got like.
He's done.
Oh, he was done.
He got like 100
He
fucking
went in at
years
70.
He goes in at like, yeah, like I think it was, he's probably
He had a good run, though.
over 65, at least probably 65 or 70.
Wow.
Yeah.
Poor bastard.
Yeah.
Tried to
like,
off
Hey,
himself.
poor bastard.
Poor
He's getting like
bastard.
$500 million.
These guys that gave him
No, I don't mean that.
$500 million.
20
Tried to
fucking
kill
years.
himself, woke up handcuffed to the
Yeah,
bed.
that's
Yeah,
you
that
know what's so
sucks.
funny. Isn't that the saddest part?
That is the saddest part.
I almost feel like, God, bro, I was rooting for you to kill yourself.
I'm
I
surprised
know.
you didn't do it in jail.
I mean, one, your Ponzi scheme, although you had a good run, your Ponzi thing falls apart.
Damn.
And then you figure, fuck it, I'm going out on top, and you botch that. Fuck.
And you
bad.
left a note
And you left the
telling
note.
all?
I mean, he's done anyway, but
He
yeah.
told
yeah.
all.
Still.
That is funny.
That sucks.
Wow.
But I don't know.
What's the fucking moral of the story, man?
I mean, listen, man, whether you're guilty or, I mean, just plead guilty, bro.
Just take
If
the
the
plea.
feds came in right now and said, listen, Mr. Cox, we've just indicted you on a 10-kilo conspiracy.
Yeah.
And
Take it to trial, or we'll give you 3
yeah,
to 4.
Yeah, we'll give you 5 years right now,
Mm-hmm.
or you can go to trial and get 30 years. I'd be like, well, bro, can we work out a deal? I mean, yeah, 5 years. That's not bad. Can I get the drug program?
Can we? Do I hear
I
three?
mean,
Do I hear
fuck.
3?
I mean, I'll work with you. I've never seen cocaine.
yeah.
I don't know anything about it, but I'm pretty sure you're going to get 5 guys to testify against me,
Yeah.
and I can't go to trial. And yeah, sure, okay, I'll take the 5.
Can I get PTI?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Oh,
Yeah, you're done.
Shit, dude.
So yeah, I mean, you know, this is a lot of issues. I think
You
that,
think Donovan ever like clears it and gets out early, or no? He does the fucking the whole shebang.
the problem is Mendoza. He's unwilling to step outside of his own ego
Yeah.
and say, "Let me look at this with a clear set of eyes and say, at the very least, he deserves a new trial."
Mm-hmm.
The problem is if he gets a new trial, they won't bring him to trial.
Yeah.
They'll just drop the whole thing.
They'll
They'll
let it
come to
go.
him and say, "Look, man, let's listen.
It's fucked up.
Right, take a plea.
Mm-hmm.
We'll let you out in
What
Time
would
time."
that? What would
served.
that trial cost?
Well, the trial
Too
probably
much.
cost another $1 million, but the fact is that you can't put any of these people back on trial. You
Yeah.
can't put. Listen, you've got now. You know,
There's too much
Donovan.
fucked up shit going on.
Donovan now knows Blayne's not going to back up Damien.
Yeah.
We now know that we can put all this in front of the jury
Right.
and prove that these emails are bullshit. This
Right,
whole
and
thing
everybody's
falls apart
dirty.
very, very quickly.
The
You don't
receiver's
have-
dirty.
If
You don't
he
have
did-
Everybody.
Romandetti. You don't have all these events. What really got him was that you have investors standing up there saying, "I put $100,000 in of my life savings, and Donovan told me to put the money in."
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They, like I said, the amount of money that they sentenced him on. Even if what if you believe let's pretend for a second that you believe that he actually knew halfway through.
Okay.
Why'd you sentence him on 17 million? Why didn't you sentence him on 4?
Half
5?
of it or a little bit.
Why didn't you just sentence him on what he actually brought in, which was only a few $1 million?
Right.
Eliminate the money he lost, and the money he brought in was a few million. Sentence him on the few
2
million.
of it was his own money.
Right. He's already done the time.
Yeah.
That's what you did.
Right, time served.
By the sentencing guidelines, he's already done the time.
Yeah.
Let's say you just hit him just for on general principle of being a fucking moron.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I'll give
Time
you.
served.
Right. He already missed the first 5 years of his daughter's life.
You're done. He gets out. You banked on people like Roman Deddy who are committing felonies at the time and the government who knows it's going on and put them on the fucking stand anyway. They're destroying evidence. They're covering shit up. I mean, it's fucked up. There's bribes involved. There's testimony, that false testimony. You got multiple people saying it. What is the fucking problem? Give them a new fucking trial. What is the problem? I mean, because of your ego?
Yeah.
Fucking.
They ain't
What's
gonna
the
do it.
worst? What's the worst possible thing that would happen to him? Would it affect his career at all?
Who?
No, he's got a
judge?
lifetime appointment. Judge has a lifetime appointment.
Okay.
They're not gonna, he won't be removed, nothing. First of all, you're just
But
making
maybe
it
he's
look
trying to
worse.
make to a bigger position even, that could hurt him.
He may be saying, "Hey, look, I want to become a supervising whatever."
Right.
But I don't see that really affects you. Look, he's a young guy. I think he's in his late 30s or early 40s when this whole thing started.
Mm-hmm.
He was a state judge. He doesn't know. It's his very first case. I think he's made some mistakes. I think he's covering for those mistakes.
He just don't want to own up to it.
Doesn't want to own up to it. And the worst thing is now, it's like once you dig in, what do? You just can't not dig in.
Yeah.
You can't. It takes a hell of a man to step back and say, "I fucked up.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move forward. Let's go ahead and move forward."
Yeah, they
Give him
don't
a new
like to
trial.
do that.
Because look, if Donovan won, he knows that at this point he can't be found guilty. I mean, he can't be found guilty at this point.
Right.
He most likely doesn't even get the indictment. Basically fails, and he basically gets released.
Right, and they don't like to let people out. They already sentenced fucking guilty for crimes and shit.
Right, and
that don't look
and
good.
let's face it, Donovan's going to sue you.
Yeah.
He's fucking furious.
Especially, you let him out now.
Yeah, he's
early.
so Mendoza.
You let
at
him
this
out
point,
after 5 years.
He's
Oh,
suing
yeah.
for a lot of money.
It's like he's
You want
fucking
him to
You're
serve.
fucked.
Now,
Yeah,
right
you're
now,
fucked.
it's just self-preservation.
Yeah.
Fuck,
man.
So Donovan's in a
Donovan.
bad spot. And,
Yeah, he's in a jam.
Man, his fucking wife she might as well be a fucking lawyer now. She's read so many of these things 10 times.
Yeah.
She knows the law inside and out. She knows everything. You imagine, how do you think she felt when she heard they have the fucking servers or the hard drives? We know that all the emails went through the hard drives.
Yeah.
We know we can now prove those emails are fake.
Yeah. Then finds out they're scrubbed
They
after
fucking-
she calls.
Right. Oh, I'm sure that wasn't heart-wrenching. I'm sure
Oh,
that
my God.
Fucking feel like your heart was ripped straight out of your fucking chest.
Yeah.
Every single time. I mean, and keeps having to go every 2 weeks to see him.
Shout out
every
to her
week.
for being so strong.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah, that sucks.
I'm
Damn.
ready to go eat, bro.
Yeah, I'm ready to-
Unfortunately, I feel
Thanks for
Starving.
fucking
sorry.
sharing that story, man. That's,
Listen,
Yeah, that was a good
that's
one.
a fucking-
Subscribe to my channel.
Inside True Crime.
Inside True Crime.
Inside True Crime. I need the
YouTube.com/ is it / Inside True Crime? Do you have a custom URL yet?
I don't know what that is, bro. What do you
Just go to YouTube and type in
it's
Inside True Crime
Inside
or
True
Matthew
We'll
Cox.
put the link in the video.
Links in the
No, not
description
even
below.
Matthew Cox. I think it's just basically inside.
Yeah, it's
People are
him.
telling me I need to put. It does, Matt Cox. No, Matt Cox. Your stuff shows up.
It says
time-
Inside True
no,
Crime.
Inside True Crime is mine, and you can
Right.
listen to all these things on audio,
Yep.
and you can listen to the Gap.
Yep.
It's
And you
fucking. It's good.
And your Patreon, patreon.com / Inside True Crime.
Got to do Patreon.
Yep.
Listen, I need to be doing this full time.
Everyone needs to go on there and give Matt all the fucking support he deserves for
Yeah, I
doing these
deserve support.
podcasts.
And all the
I'm a good
monies.
guy. I'm not a bad guy.
He's a great
No.
guy. He's a likable guy. He's
You
a
don't
You're
gotta
like
give him
that.
the soch. Just sign
I'm
up
not
on
asking for anybody's
Patreon.
information.
Just don't give him your social. All you gotta do is hit the subscribe button and just give him like $5 on
I
Patreon.
got something my probation officer said today.
What'd your probation? What'd your PO
So
say?
listen, did I tell you when I was in same thing when I told you I was in the in the halfway house and she came to see me the first time?
Yeah.
She goes, she said, same thing I told you that I told the fucking shrink. She says, so she said, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And she goes, okay, I'm working here, I'm working at the gym. She goes, okay, so what are your plans when you get out? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And she's okay, so you feel good about it? I said, I feel pretty good. I'm going to bust my ass for about a year. I said, I got this. I got it.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, what happens after a year? I said, if after a year I'm still fucking living in someone's spare room and I'm driving and I'm taking the fucking bus to work or something? And she goes, yeah. I said, I'm going to commit a massive fraud. I'm going to leave the United States. And she went, she goes, I'm not as shocked by that as you think I would be.
Yeah.
And I went, it is what it is. She said, well, let's hope it doesn't go that way. And I said, well, let's hope so. And so, I mean, I was just fucking just, I was just angry and pissed off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. So I leave. So then today she comes for like a random piss test, right? She just stops by. And so I do the thing. She sits down. She goes, how's
That's
everything?
so weird you get a piss test.
No drugs.
You never had anything to do with drugs.
No.
Or
No.
any kind of
Oh,
substance
listen, I
abuse.
got all kinds of shit going on. You do understand that I have to see a shrink once a week
Yeah, I
for an
know that
hour.
much, yeah.
Right. I have to call in every day for random urine tests. Okay. They look through all my bank accounts every single month. I have to send them my bank. I'm doing stuff nobody else is doing. The judge, they're like, you can't work in construction, you can't work in development, you can't work in finance, can't work in bank account, you can't work in real estate. I mean, I'm extremely restricted to what I can do. They're very concerned. So,
So what happened when she came today?
I did the UA and I gave it to her and we were talking and she's a very nice person.
Yeah.
So, but she says, so how are you feeling? This and that. They're very concerned about my level of anxiety.
Yeah.
So she's like, you feeling anxious? You okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. This and this and that. It's okay. She's everything going good? Like, how do you feel? I'd be like, I feel good. Everything's good. She's really, they want to make sure you're acclimated. She's not an asshole or anything.
Yeah, that's
so
nice.
she goes, but she's strict. And she said, she goes, so do you remember when we talked in the halfway house? And she goes, remember you were saying that after a year, if things weren't going well? And I was like, oh, yeah.
I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, she goes, yeah. She goes, I said, yeah. And she goes, yeah. She goes, how are you feeling about that? She goes, because, I mean, it's coming up on a year. And I was like, I said, I was fucked up at the time. I was really fucked up. I said, and honestly, things are going so well, it would be stupid of me.
Right.
At this point, it would be stupid of me to do anything. She's like, you're sure? You feel okay? I said, no, I feel good about it. I'm doing well. Everything's going good. Things are going well. The books are selling. I'm doing the YouTube thing. I said, for the website, I said, things are moving forward. I said, I've got this documentary.
Yeah, they're going in a good direction.
I got a documentary.
You're on a great trajectory right now.
I got this thing with this production company in Los Angeles. I mean, I got a whole bunch of shit that's going on.
Yeah.
That's going well. And she's like, so you feeling okay? I said, so that's probably off the table. I said, that's off the table.
It's gone.
That's off the table.
Off.
And she says, the look on her face was like, don't fuck with me, Cox.
Yeah. It's never off the table.
So I thought that was funny. Anyway.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But
Cool,
she's
man.
all right.
Good.
Cool.
We're good.
We got to keep you out of jail.
Yeah, we're keeping Matt out of jail, keeping him on the path to success that he's on right now. So give him all the love and support you can.